Welcome in. Welcome in. What a weekend of college football it was, even though our teams didn't play, as we have fans of Georgia, Bama. More than that, we are college football fans. And so you bet we watched the lineup. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. We've got to talk about this previous weekend slate of games. With our remaining time, we will lightly start getting into Bama, Georgia, but for everybody watching this will be announced multiple times during the show. We've got some really exciting, fun stuff on the horizon for this Bama Georgia game tonight. We will lightly talk about it, but as always, Monday live streams if we're talking about the past weekend of football we just saw and what a weekend it was. Before we get into all of that, y'all already know what time it is. We need to introduce everybody. Coach I, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This is the first Saturday since the opening weekend. I was able to just sit down and watch college football. I was loving it. The first, to be honest with you, man, that first slate of games at the 12 o'clock slide, I thought it was going to be a little bit more entertaining other than, but it got away from some of those teams. And we'll get into some of that stuff, man. But I just love it, man. Love being able to watch college football, man.
100% and love being able to talk about it. Coach Sean, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Blessed, highly favored. The game we talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks prior to the season is here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen, guys, we are being treated to some elite matchups this year. We're going to talk about one elite matchup that took place this weekend or this past weekend from a schematic standpoint, OU Tennessee, but then you have Bama Georgia, you have Georgia Texas. I mean, those are just fantastic matchups. I want to start with something that's going to make all of our hearts happy here on the panel, though. Auburn, Auburn. Did it again, Auburn, and I thank you for it. Auburn down by Arkansas. Now, guys, this is an interesting game because in seriousness, putting the rivalry to the side, Arkansas is a weird team this year. I don't know who you're going to get. They have the ability to be real explosive whenever everything's clicking. Their quarterback can just take off on you and he's real athletic. And when there are times in the game he's hitting these big shots, but it is so up and down. I mean, it is like watching the stock market on drugs. It's just up, down, up. It's painful. But I'm baffled by how poor Auburn has played. Coach I, coming in this year, I had 3 questions about Auburn. And I think every single question has come to fruition. Question number 1, how good is your going to be? Listen, I concede to anybody that Auburn's wide receiver class is unbelievable. Not only what they did in the transfer portal, what they did with these high school kids, those guys are going to be a menace. But you got to get them the ball, right? You might as well have me throwing it to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. 2, the defensive backfield. Now, ironically, Coach we talked about this on the phone last night. Bama and Georgia came into this year being like, man, what's our defensive backfield going to look like? And all of a sudden, we look up and we have 2 of the best secondaries in the nation. Right. Unbelievable. I'll take those problems. But for Auburn, that seems to be a continual theme, a little bit of the thorn in the side. And finally, it's Hugh Freeze. I'm not saying that Hugh can't coach. What I am saying is that Hugh is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. We can take this back to Ole Miss when he would beat Saban, then get shut out by Memphis and shut out by Florida. You just never know what Hugh Freeze you're going to get. So talk to me about Auburn, Arkansas.
Listen, man. First off, we got to put all this on Hugh Freeze. I don't care how bad the quarterbacks are playing. I'm putting it all on Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze watched this all offseason, had plenty of chances to go get a quarterback, and he said, nah, dog, I can go 8-4 with Peyton Thorne. I can do it. No, you can't. And then you put the freshman guy in there. He's no better than Peyton Thorne, to be honest. But to his defense, he hasn't taken first team snaps, so I don't really put a lot of that on him. This is all on Hugh Freeze, and like you said, we all think Hugh Freeze can coach some X's and O's sometimes, I guess. But coaching is more than just X's and O's on one given Saturday or when they play Bama and Georgia on the plains. Coaching is about all of it: recruiting, talent evaluation, development, all of these things. And to be as smart football wise as Hugh Freeze is, this loss is on him, man. I want to say this about Arkansas wide receiver. Arkansas wide receiver number 2. I forget what his name is, but he took a massive, massive hit, like clean, like between that hit and the hit that McCoy from Tennessee put on the OU guy, like just physicality wise, both plays. The OU guy got 20 yards, but just from a physicality standpoint, without having a targeting penalty, those are two of the hardest hits I've seen in a long time. And the guy went down for a while. He came back in and he was still cooking them. And it's like they had no answer for him. And then on offense, they couldn't keep up because they don't have an offense. And I feel bad for Jarquez Hunter, to be honest with you. I hate saying that about an Auburn player, but I feel bad for the dude. I think the dude can run. But if you ain't got no passing game, your quarterback ain't no threat, and you the only thing that they got, yeah, that's not going to get it, man. To be honest with you, I hate to say it because I know how Auburn, like you just said, they'll show up and beat somebody they're not supposed to. I see the game this Saturday getting real ugly for Auburn.
Well, and yeah, that's something I have a group chat for the Bama Standard, and we were all talking about this, and we were like, oh, well, how do we see this game going? OU has its problems. OU's defense is there, right? Like, especially in that front, it's there. Auburn's offensive is, wow, it's good.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So they can't throw the ball. They're going to try to run. We know they're not going to be able to run on OU. So, I mean, this has one of those potentials like Georgia or Oregon 2022 get out of hand. Like this, I mean, out of hand.
And what did we see? And listen, I'm not saying that any of the OU quarterbacks have the experience that Green does in terms of being that guy, but both of them are mobile dudes. Auburn showed no signs of being able to stop a mobile quarterback. Bama fans, if you are watching, you had to be salivating watching that game and being like, okay, well, I think Jalen's a better thrower in terms of just consistency. I think Bama has just as good, if not better, I'd say better options on the outside. Number 2 is great. He's a dog, right? Like, I grant you that. But I think Bama just has more numbers on the outside. I think Bama, listen, that Arkansas running back, he's no slouch, right?
No.
Like, Quentin
Jackson. Not Hugh Freeze, but what's his name? Bobby Petrino. He got him cooking. Offense cooking.
But Bama's got some running backs that I put up with anybody. If you're a Bama fan and you were watching, you had to like that. If you're OU, I know all offseason I've been saying use your running backs. Use your quarterback in this game. They can't stop it. So, Coach Sean, talk to me, because Coach I did just say something that sends shivers up my spine, because he's correct. Auburn's going to look like dog water all year, and then they're going to play Georgia and Alabama like the 85 Bears. And we're going to be sitting here like, why? Why do you do this to us? But let's embrace the good news as it's here. Talk to me about Auburn, Arkansas.
For me, man, I don't really understand the identity of Auburn. I don't think they do either. It's like you got a lot of young receivers. You got Perry out there. You got Coleman, Cam out there. What I'm seeing from these young guys at Auburn, they don't like to catch the ball underneath. I tell you that, boy. They get crocodile arms really quickly,
They hear them steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ball. So I'll even go so far as to say this. That interception, that wasn't on Peyton throwing. The ball hit the dude right in the hands, man. I mean,
that's big facts.
Hit him right here.
True.
He just got alligator arms and didn't extend and get it. So after seeing that hit, what number 2 took, I thought, man, that had a lot of them people shook. So, but I will say, man, I do think it's all on Hugh Freeze as well, man. Dude is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It's almost embarrassing that we let this guy run around on us last year. Like we let Peyton Thorne look like Michael Vick for a little while. When you watch these guys, I don't understand what he's trying to do. It's almost like he's trying to dig up the old Ole Miss Bo Wallace offense, a lot of short stuff underneath, and you ain't no Laquan Treadwell out there right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just don't understand. Hunter, the boy, I think he had 10, 11, 12 carries or something like that. You know what I mean? 60, 70 yards, or whatever the case may be. And it's like their identity is just so up and down. Then they'll go 3 and out, put it on the defense. Go 3 and out, put it on the defense. I get it, man. I understand how it is early in the season. Yeah, a lot of young kids on that offense. But the demeanor of the head coach, man, that struck me as really, really. I don't think I've ever heard a head coach go in a national press conference like that and just, well, we got to find somebody who's not going to throw the ball to the other team. Like, damn, you know what I mean? So that was
and
man.
about 15 seconds after, he said, "I'm not coaching hard enough." But it's my thing is like you guys said, it's the same reason why I feel no sympathy for Mike Norvell. DJU's not a first-year player. You got 4 years of film out there. And now you're sitting there like, well, I don't know how this is happening. You don't? Well, that's even more concerning. I feel the same way about Hugh. It's like, brother, Cam Ward was available. Now, thank the good Lord above, they did not go get Cam Ward. Because that dude's a baller. That dude's got ice through his veins, right? Listen, if you've been around the channel, we were talking about Washington State and Cam Ward last year as being must-watch TV. Thank God that Hugh is Hugh, because I'm real glad that cat's not at Auburn, especially being a Bama fan and Coach IU being a Georgia fan. That would be the game he would show up, and he would look, he would look impeccable, just dropping dimes.
Right. And listen, man, I'm just saying, man, Auburn, I didn't like it to top off how they played, to top off, like I said, everything I said about Hugh Freeze, and then he goes into the press conference and not just like I don't even know if that's called throwing your kids on the bus. That's worse than whatever that was, what he was doing. And my thing is, dog, this is on you. It's not your first year. You was coaching last year. You watched him for a full season last year. You watched him in the off season and passed up a chance to go get anybody that was in the portal. I don't care who it is, like somebody that knows what a forward pass is. But you said, nah, dog, we got it. Peyton Thorne's the guy we rolling with. So don't come out here and try to throw the dude under the bus. Like, oh, so he won't throw it to the other team. He was throwing it to the other team last year.
Yeah.
Didn't Cal lead the nation in interceptions at one point? Thanks to...
And remember, you put these young kids out there, you got them singled up as if these kids are. I get it, man. 5 stars and all that. I get it. But a lot of these kids have never went against kids that can actually cover them. I had a kid tell me at a camp, I can remember this like yesterday, like a year ago. Kid tell me, I've never went against nobody that could actually play press on me till I got to the All-Star game, the Under Armour game. So a lot of these kids don't see the type of corner talent on a regular, that they see when they finally get in the SEC. So you get a kid like Cam, even Ryan. Ryan is not open all the time. Ryan, he'll tell you on his podcast himself, he's very tough in college. So when you got a young kid like that, yeah, he's a big target, but you got to do things to scheme him open, man. Get him the ball behind the line of scrimmage so he can get the ball in his hands quick and make some people miss and do some things and get him in a rhythm. Running him on slant routes through the middle, I don't know how that's gonna gain confidence, man. I just don't.
Get somebody killed.
I actually think, Coach I, you're on to something as we welcome Jance to the podcast. Jance, happy you're in here as always. And I know, did y'all see, I sent it to Coach Sean, but did y'all see what Jance tagged me in on Twitter? Did you see this, Coach I? I'm going to have to go and send it to you. I laughed, Jance, for about 15 to 20 minutes. I kept looking at it, and I would start laughing again. I'd stop, look at it again, and get back to just giggling maniacally because I don't know. It did something for me. How are you today, man?
Yes, I've been waiting for that for the entirety of the off season for that to happen, that specifically to happen, and I manifested this, and it happened. So I'm happy about it.
Well, Something else you'll be happy about. We're talking about this Auburn-Arkansas game. And before you came in, I was saying, listen, I'm trying to be as fair as possible right here. Arkansas is an up and down team where sometimes you'll look at them and you're like, man, they've got some capability to hurt you. But then you look at the end of that Oklahoma State game, and it's one of the worst examples of clock management I've ever seen. I mean, that right there was halfway criminal. Talk to me about Auburn, Arkansas. Auburn doomed forever. This has to be Chris. Is this Chris Williams? Hey, you're welcome here, man. You're welcome here. You're welcome.
It's a safe space. It's a safe space.
Well, it's a space. But you are more than welcome. Jance, talk to me about this Auburn game. Coach I'm going to send you it. Jance sent me.
Yeah, Auburn's a mess. They're a complete and utter mess right now, and Hugh Freeze isn't the answer. Now, unfortunately, I think they're stuck with Hugh Freeze for, I think, at least about one more year before they can let him go or they can try to buy him out. I know a lot of Auburn fans were coming on my channel, and they were just telling me, man, that it's too young, it's too premature. He's only coached for 15 games. I'm crazy. I'm this and that. Hey, listen, I'm not a fan of your program. I'm just telling you the way that I see it, and I'm telling you about the history of college football, and that normally when you go backwards, you're not going forward, you're going backwards. It's not normally going to improve in year 3. It might take a couple years for these kids to come in your to mature, but people just expect that this greatest in-state recruiting class of all time is going to come in here in year 1 and just absolutely going to dominate. No, these kids are going to have to learn. These kids are going to have to grow and develop, and not all of them are going to stick through. And who's to say that they might not enter the transfer portal the following year after all the losing that they're going to be doing the next year? This is I mean, guys, they're going backwards. They're not improving from last year. They're going backwards. They can't. I mean, they can't really establish a consistent ground game throughout the air. I mean, your best option is Payne Thorne, but Payne Thorne's going to be gone next year. Who's going to be a quarterback? Who's going to want to come and play under a Hugh Freeze scheme next year? Who's going to come? Who's even going to answer the transfer portal? Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. The quarterback position in terms of throwing the football, very, very similar to the stupidity that we heard from Mel Kiper talking about how too high needs to be banned. Well, guess what? The issue about that in college football is the exact same. When it comes to throughout the air, it is not great. Unless James Madison's quarterback enters the transfer portal, or maybe Bowling Green's quarterback, who's a senior, decides to kind of come back for another year and goes to Auburn, I don't see that this issue is going to be fixed throughout the transfer portal at all. This is a complete and utter mess. I think they have a very young roster that they're trying to get in there, that they're trying to establish. But like I said before, do these players have the patience to stay for another year? And I don't think that they will have the patience. Not when you have Hugh Freeze calling them out. Not when you have not just him, but the other coaches on your coaching staff calling you out publicly. The boosters are not happy. The fans are going on are going to these players' social media pages and pretty much making threats about them. It's just a collective. It's just a collective, just absolute brain just washing of their program. And you know what? Listen, I try to give them some sympathy. I actually felt bad for them for a little bit until these Auburn fans came on my channel and they were, I had to block a lot of them for the stuff that they were saying. So it's no surprise. So the sympathy is gone. Zero sympathy for this program. They deserve everything that they're getting. And listen, Auburn, Alabama, that's going to continue to be a rivalry. Those games are going to be tough. If it's over there. If it's over here, we normally will whitewash them. But over there, it's a different story, right? So I'm prepared for next year for the voodoo curse to begin. But until that happens, Auburn's going to continue to just be a trash program. And until Hugh Freeze is gone off the door, and it's not just Hugh Freeze, by the way, right? Because I think the one comment that I kept getting was that Hugh Freeze isn't he's not entirely at fault. I will agree with that comment because it's not just on Hugh Freeze. It is their entire athletic leadership. It is their boosters. Because it's a lot deeper than what's going on compared to just Hugh Freeze. Because when you keep running through the coaching staffs like Brian, because I'm one of those people. I believe that Harsin's a good football coach. You don't just win a lot of games at Boise State and then you go all the way to upgrade and you just absolutely just like you can't figure it out because recruiting wise wasn't that big of an issue. But for the most part, there were rumors that Harsin, let's say, wasn't in full and total control. And the same issue what's going on with Florida right now is that the head coach doesn't really have full and total control. Now, these are rumors, right? These are speculative rumors, but I listen, just like how Brian Flores got ran out of Miami, and I get it with the whole Tua thing, but what happened with Brian Flores? Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert to be the quarterback, and ownership stepped in and pretty much took the picks that Brian Flores did not want to happen. So when you don't give coaches full command of the program, when you don't give full coaches full recruiting decisions about the staff that he wants to bring in. When you have to rely on other people to kind of bring in the staff that you want to bring in, to focus on the recruiting decisions that you want to go towards, and you're kind of handicapped, then this is what you're going to get. So I shouldn't completely blame it on Hugh Freeze if these rumors are true. But if it's not true, and Hugh Freeze is in full command of every decision that he's making, then Hugh Freeze should be gone, but he won't be gone because they believe that he is the Saban killer. That is exactly why they even hired him in the first place, because he was a Saban killer. All they care about is beating Alabama. They don't care about winning national championships. They don't care about winning SC championships, about making the college football playoffs and being a consistent program for the following decade. No, they care about beating Alabama. That's why Auburn fans continue to brag about that they have the most in-state recruits in the country. They don't not that they have a top 5 class. They brag all about it's in-state. Have you ever heard anybody from it doesn't matter if you're a Texas fan, Oklahoma fan, Ohio State fan, Michigan fan, it doesn't matter what fan you are. Have you ever heard any fan base continuously brag about in-state recruiting? You would have thought
this is facts though.
Like you never hear this, but one program continuously, and that is Auburn fans. Every single, even still to this day, they got embarrassed by Arkansas, turned over the ball 5 times, and that's all they talk about. They average 3 turnovers a game, and that's still all you talk about. We have in-state recruiting. We're gonna be just fine. These players, they're not even. First of all, it's not even signing day. They're committed to your program, but it's not signing day. Not to mention that they're still taking official visits. Not to mention that we have one player that will be taking an official visit to Alabama. So it is what it is, man. You heard what some of these commits are saying about their visits. They hated the visit. They watched the game and they didn't like what they saw. So
thank you for that, by the way, Auburn, because Caleb Cunningham left thoroughly unimpressed. Thank you.
Like it's absolutely ridiculous that we're hearing right now. But Auburn. I mean, it's terrible. It's very, very bad right now. They won't fix the problem, and that's fine. They don't have to fix the problem. They can continue to be a trash program and continue and give me free wins every single year. I'll take it the way it is.
I gotta say, Auburn doomed forever. You were cracking me up in these comments, right? I have 2 things. One, right? Because you spoke on it, Jansen. That's that they had all these guys there, and they left thoroughly unimpressed. Caleb Cunningham straight up said, "That's not what I wanted to see." If you're Deuce Knight, I know that the insiders, I will always say, whether I agree or not, they know far more than I. Right, in terms of what's going on in recruiting, I will give my opinion. I will never say that I think they're wrong. I know some of the insiders are still bullish on Deuce Knight flipping to Auburn, but why? Like, at this point, why? The offensive line is not going to be better next year. That's still an issue. And Jance, you're 100% right. When Texas A&M signed that elite recruiting class, or even I can't ever remember a Texas fan saying to an A&M fan, "Oh, but we dominate in-state recruiting," or vice versa. I can't ever remember that. I can't ever remember an Oklahoma fan saying that to an Oklahoma State fan. I don't know. As my camera freezes up. The last thing I will say on this is it's trying to speaking to Brian Harsin, right? One of the things that fundamentally never made sense to me is you fired Brian Harsin, and excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to revert back to my old career and talk about some legal lingo. You fire Brian Harsin for what is deemed as crimes of moral turpitude, right? And then you hire Hugh Freeze. That makes no sense. Right? Like that genuinely makes no sense. Crimes of moral turpitude, and I'm sure all of you know, I don't have to go into this, but it's basically like you do something that is deemed immoral against the ethics of what we are about. They launched a coup against Brian Harsin and then hired Hugh Freeze. Now, do y'all remember what this coup with Brian Harsin was about? Coach Sean, do you remember what it was about?
Didn't have something to do with Bo Nix, if I'm not mistaken.
Wasn't it
At
Ryan
some
Williams?
No.
point,
I thought it
So-
was some
something.
chick. I
or
thought it
some
was
chick. Okay,
chick. I
yeah,
thought it
a
was some
girl
chick.
or
Yeah,
something.
some chick.
They fired this man with an internal
Yeah.
coup for a rumor that he had brought over someone that, by the way, was at Boise with him, was from previous staff, and they were like, oh, well, you're having an extramarital affair with this woman. So you're gone. And we're going to hire Hugh Freeze. I was always sitting there like, excuse me?
Oh, God.
I also heard, look, my partner Terrell, well, I better not say it. One of my friends who went to Auburn told me that Harsin had a shouting match with one of their really powerful alumni guys, like right in front of the players, like embarrassed him right in front of the players. And I heard it went downhill from that point on, man. But let me say this. With Brian Harsin, now you move on to Hugh Freeze, right? It's got to hurt just a little bit, man. Maybe not much, but just a little bit. When you're a young freshman like Coleman, like Perry Thompson, and you see Ryan over here at Bama just balling out, it's got to hurt just a little bit, man, right? Your QB situation is terrible. Jay Steele says Freeze is not about the X's and O's. He's about them holes. Hey, the truth is in the details, man.
Jay
Right?
Steele. Oh,
Shout out to my
God.
broski Brad. Shout in the house. Much love to my brother Brad, man. But that's what it is, man. It gotta hurt, bro. Just a little bit, right? All these kids were recruited by the same schools. But when you see a kid who actually wasn't even supposed to be in this recruiting class, he's over here at Bama, he's balling out. You see your quarterback situation, and it's got to make you be like, damn, damn. You know what I'm saying? I made this decision. It's got to hurt just a little bit.
Right. Like that quarterback situation at Auburn. Like, shout out to Lance Hunter for the comment earlier. He said that Alabama was set for like 45 years. He said at quarterback, but Auburn's day to day.
Yeah.
Read Trevor Panier. Trevor Panier says it doesn't help that Freeze, one of his former players, is dragging him through the mud.
That is true.
Bowen left on him. What brought that? What started that though?
I was about to say, what did he
The
was
comments.
mad about the
Yeah.
game or what?
Yeah,
No,
what brought that on?
the comments of throwing the players under the bus, and that's when people were like, "Oh, but you've praised him before," and he was like, "Yeah, he coached me." So like, I don't. People, I think, aren't getting the point that you can have an appreciation for somebody. It's like, okay, that was my coach for multiple years, and still have an issue with the way they carry themselves, right? Like. It's not all, but I'll tell you what's just as bad. Did y'all see the fact that Auburn players can't even go to the games? There have been Auburn players, former Auburn players, tweeting that one of these cats was at the facility talking to a recruit and he got escorted out.
What?
They won't let their former players come. They have to buy tickets like fans. And I'm sitting here thinking, Coach whenever Bama played Georgia last year, Alvin Kamara was on the sideline for Bama. He transferred out, but
it couldn't happen to a better group.
We don't even do that in HBCU football, bro. We don't do that even.
Couldn't happen to a better group of guys.
Come on, man. That's crazy.
Bro. Hey, this is beautiful though.
It is.
I am loving every second of it, man. Only person I feel bad for at Auburn, only because I have somewhat of a connection to it, is Cam Cope.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Phil, who was his wide receiver coach in high school.
Hey, that's a bad boy though. Like
I know. He needs to get up out of there as soon as possible, man. Because I hate to see No, don't go over there though. Don't go over there. I see your hand.
We like them. We like them transfer wide. Hey, we like them transfer portal wide receivers.
If that's the case, if that was the case, no, stay where you at, brother.
We don't need him over there. Lord have mercy, we don't need him.
We like them transfer portal wide receivers.
Y'all get Perry Thompson. We get Cam Coleman.
Mm-hmm. You see how Kobe Hudson's playing. Transfer out of shout to Kobe Hudson. I actually know his cousin. His cousin's been blowing me up. But it's funny as hell, man, how he just left Auburn, go to Central Florida, and now he's one of the best receivers in the country. I'm telling you, man, it's receiver hell. They haven't had one 1,000-yard receiver in I don't know how long, and got in over since Jason Campbell, and even then I don't even think they had a 1,000-yard receiver. And all of a sudden you got a bunch of receivers transferring out, and they're just catching 1,000 yards. Auburn is purgatory. Why would you ever want to go there? What was the convincing point for anybody to say, hey, man, I think I see a future playing receiver at Auburn. Okay. I think I'm going to break the mold here at Auburn. Was it just for you to get playing time? Because when all those players left Alabama, you thought that Hugh Freeze of all people is going to take Auburn and become the best team in the state? I don't know. I have no sympathy at all for them. I have no sympathy at all for them.
I totally understand why. You don't have sympathy for them. I totally understand why. So sometimes you just gotta fall on your behind and just learn. Some people you just can't tell them. They just have to see for themselves, and that's what a lot of them are seeing.
I'm gonna start a Keep Hugh Freeze campaign. I don't want him.
Honestly,
oh yes, please.
Honestly,
especially
you right alongside Keep Billy Napier.
Yeah, especially you saying that the former players got to buy tickets. Oh,
that's messed up.
Yeah, let me send y'all this. This is something that I couldn't believe reading it earlier. But I was sitting there looking at this like there's no way that y'all are having all of these issues right now, and y'all are making players buy tickets, that you are getting guys out of the stadium because of I don't know. I will find it though, and I will get that to y'all.
Real quick, I will say this. I do feel, I will say this. I'm actually glad this is happening because Cadillac Williams should have still been the head coach of that football team, and they did him wrong. They screwed him. So it is what it is.
All for Hugh Freeze.
All for Hugh Freeze.
It's called the Cadillac curse. They just lose and lose and lose and keep failing. You on mute.
My bad. What would it be without hitting the mute button? One time person. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he also knew that with Cadillac still there, he would never really have that full, Cadillac was looked at as the man. I played against this dude since high school. That cat, he got super love down there. So you got to move him out the way so I can step into that. You know what I'm saying? He was a fixture, Hugh Freeze. It's crazy, man. I just want to say I'm a small school dude. Big shout out to James Madison. Shout out to y'all.
Ooh, they still scoring. They just scored.
Still scoring.
I got a cousin. She's at James Madison right now. And it's funny because the guy I think she's dating is at Alabama. And so she flies back and forth between Bama games and he goes to JMU games. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But ladies and gentlemen, we've roasted Auburn for 33 minutes. Auburn doomed forever says, can we just mute this season? Listen, we're moving past it. This is now, look, I said before this was a space for you, right? It may not have been safe. Now it will be safe because now we turn our attention elsewhere. Jance, I got to give you the floor. So can you give me any hope? Y'all have a great NIL collective.
Shout out to Chris Williams.
Wherever
you are.
I wonder if this is Chris, Coach.
It just might be.
I think it might be Chris.
It just might be. You know what I'm saying?
Will the real Chris Williams please stand up?
I think real this Chris might be him, and he's just like come to terms with what's happening.
Can't come in under my own name, though.
Y'all got a hell of an NIL collective. But Here's the double-edged sword with that, is if we move to revenue sharing, collectives are now moot. But, that's a topic for a different day. Jance, USC, Michigan. I know you've been waiting on this.
Oh man, I've been waiting. Man, Doug, I've been waiting for this, man. That is the classic USC loss.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a classic. You wanna. What is the definition of a Lincoln Riley loss? That is, just show that game. You want to know what a Lincoln Riley loss is, ladies and gentlemen? All you have to do is just play that last drive. How the hell do you lose to a team that had no passing game? They ran 4 to 5 plays in the game, didn't show you anything different. Alex Orji, this dude is not accurate, can't read any defenses, can't process, has one of the worst throwing motions you'll ever see. And you lose to that football team. And you know how they did it? They beat the hell out of you on the line of scrimmage. That is classic Lincoln Riley, ladies and gentlemen. Everything, listen, week 1, I'm going to keep everything I said about USC week 1, right? That was a good game. They looked improved against an LSU offensive line, which is not one of the best offensive line in the country, because that offensive line has been getting their ass kicked recently. I don't know what the hell's been going on with them, but we were fooled. This is why I hate the first 4 weeks of college football, right? Not for entertainment sakes, but because we don't know anything about these schools, right? Because everyone's, every Power 4 team is playing against ITT Tech and Grand Canyon. They're playing all these schools that all of a sudden, once we get that kind of Power 4 matchup between that rare Power 4 matchup, we take a look at that game like, man, this team looks really, really improved. But you know what? I got to stop doing this. We all have to stop doing this. We can't say anything about a certain program until we get to around week 5. We get to around week 4, week 5, then fine. We can praise that program all we want. Right now, Tennessee, everyone's praising Tennessee like they have a 1985 Chicago Bears defense. And I know we'll get into that. But it is amazing how USC just all of a sudden fell from grace. They lost to a team with 0 passing game. That is absolutely amazing. 290 yards on the ground, almost 7 yards per carry. Unfreaking believable. Donovan Edwards had the best game of his career since the national championship game against Washington. That was his first 100-yard performance, and I don't know, God knows how long. That is absolutely incredible. They made Alex Orji look like Anthony Richardson did at the University of Florida. This is crazy. Their backup running back, their backup running back and Lucy was just doing whatever the hell he wants to do. Oh, it was insane. It was absolutely insane to look at. USC deserves everything that they're getting because everyone kept, including myself, I'm going to put myself in the pedestal. We kept hyping them up. We kept saying that their coaching staff was better. We kept saying that this football team defensively was going to get a lot better. Their first game of Big Ten competition, and they got pounded. They went to Pound Town. Shout out to Sexy Red. They went to Pound Town. I can't believe that absolutely happened. Man, what an introduction to the Big Ten performance. That is the most Big Ten-like game I think I have seen. I wish it was prime Wisconsin with Brett Bielema that would have done it. I wish that it was Iowa with Kirk Ferentz when they came and throw the football and they beat your ass that way. I wish it was Nebraska that was going to do it, old school Nebraska, when they first came into the Big Ten, that they were going to do it. Instead, it was Michigan that were able to do it of all teams. I'm glad that this happened. I'm glad this happened because now all of a sudden we can talk about reality. We can now talk about USC's schedule and how pedestrian of a football program that they actually will be. Improved front seven, my ass. They got pounded 3-4 yards off the line of scrimmage almost every single drive. It was wonderful. It was beautiful to look at. And then you take a look at Miller Moss. I don't think Miller Moss is a bad quarterback. My God, that was that funny. USC kept having self-inflicted mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. They had costly turnovers. And then, again, like I said, defensively, ladies and gentlemen, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. There's just nothing to describe that you just got your ass kicked on the line of scrimmage for 4 quarters, and it was absolutely wonderful. But yet, somehow, in some way, and I'm going to call these people out, you got people like Colin Cowherd and Joe Klatt still giving USC credit for having the fight to come back in the football game. What fight? What fight?
You knew it was coming and couldn't stop it.
Like what you knew it was coming and you couldn't find the ability to stop it, and then all of a sudden you gonna give them credit because they delayed the inevitable? Why don't you talk about the last drive, Joe Clack? Why don't you talk about how Michigan, all USC had to do was stop the run? You didn't have to worry about the pass. You didn't have to worry about them going in empty or going or running play action. Why? Because Alex Orji couldn't hit the side of a damn barn if he even tried it. All you had to do for that entire drive was stop them from running the football in the end zone. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. And you couldn't stop it. Matter of fact, they got there faster than anything we ever seen. Why? Because USC allowed a 63-yard run in typical fashion in a Lincoln Riley defense. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, just when you thought that the hype was real for Lincoln Riley, that he finally got a defense, it blew up in your face. You know what the USC Trojans are, and you know what Lincoln Riley is as the head coach, football coach? He is an accident waiting to happen. Just wait. Just be patient. Everything will go according to plan. Oh, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can't find a USC fan in sight. They were all over the internet, all over this channel after the week, criticizing Ty and criticizing me and criticizing I think it was Coach Sean, criticizing everybody on this platform. You can't find a USC all over social media. You can't find them on site. The only USC fans that you can find right now is Colin Coward and Joe Clatt. Besides that, for the most part, it is silence. And I'm glad that this happened. Beautiful.
Let me throw a stat at you real quick, Coach Jay. Let me throw a stat at you. They threw the ball 51 times, bro. Like their running back actually had 100 yards on like 12, 13 carries. They completely abandoned the running game. Punted 7 damn times for like 300 yards, bro. They was averaging 50-something yards a punt. They punted 7 times, right? Running back had like 13 carries for 100 yards. Completely abandoned the game. Turning to Chunk City, 3 and out. That Lincoln Riley dude, you can keep him. You can keep him.
The no Diddy references are rampant today.
They are. They are. Marcus McCants with the $10. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And not just Marcus. Thank you, everybody. I know I say this every time. You'll know it's coming. 2 most valuable things you have in life is your health and your time. And you are choosing to spend your time here with us this evening. And I cannot put into words how much that means. But Marcus saying, hey, coach has got a question. What will happen if there's no Power 5 conference team ranked at the end of the year? And I misread that. I think you're meaning group of 5, and I just butchered that because I'm dyslexic, so that's on me. At the end of the year, what will happen to the 12th spot? It'll just go to the one that the committee deems the best, right?
Well, like if you see the rankings and you see those teams that says also receiving votes, that's still technically it's a top 25, but the team that's listed first and also receiving votes is number 26, 27, and so on. The rankings technically go all the way down, like, I think about like 40 spots or something like that. As long as somebody's there, they don't necessarily have to be in the top 25 per se. They just have to be the best group of 4 or group of 5, whatever we're calling them these days. I don't know what we're calling them.
Honestly, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit biased. I just want to see Ginty in the playoffs and see what that cat can do, because that cat might be the best running back in college football.
I don't disagree.
Dude is must-see TV, and I have it on good authority, by the way. I have it on very good authority. Actually, I'll supersede that. I know teams tried to get him out the transfer portal, but that young man has got a championship mindset and said no, because stability and consistency is what I need, and I have that right here. So I'm not taking these deals. I'm staying put. That's not an opinion, by the way. That's what it was. You can take
I wouldn't
that.
mind saying old JMU up in there. They said they still scoring. They just go to another one.
They go undefeated, then they're going to get the spot if they go undefeated.
And
they ball it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just biased because I really want to see Ginty in the playoffs.
Shout out to the Buffalo Bulls. Hey, we may get that spot, man. Upset Northern Illinois, which Notre Dame, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself for losing to that crap school. Listen, UB is not a good football program, but you lost to Northern Illinois. UB sucks, and they went right into their crowd. You should have seen Northern Illinois Stadium. Everything was packed. Everything was like, I'm telling you, man, it looked like a homecoming game. Everybody was just stacked to the gills because all of a sudden Notre Dame made Northern Illinois look like a national championship contender. Everybody was hyped up all over their social media, all over their websites, and UB went right into their stadium and punched them in the damn mouth. Notre Dame, after that game, Freeman should be fired. I don't even care if he won his game. He should be fired. You know what Freeman did?
That'd be tough right there.
Another MAC school. He struggled against another MAC school. What is the problem with this guy with MAC schools? What's his problem? This dude continues to just absolutely crap the ball. But that's just, I'm sorry. I had to get that out the way, man, because Notre Dame, that's terrible. Terrible.
Listen, if y'all don't know, this is a platform where I've always prided it in this right here. And everybody on this platform can tell you that I'm going to let everybody talk about this USC-Michigan game. I don't tell these guys what's being talked about. It's just kind of known. We're going to meet here on Monday. We're going to talk about some football games. It's meant to feel like we're all out at a Waffle House or something, grabbing a bite to eat, talking. And Jance uses this as therapy. Right, I'm just going to let you know. This is where he goes, you know how some people go to the gym and hit the punching bag? This is Jance's punching bag, and I appreciate him for it. I truly do, because it makes my day every single time. Coach I, we talked on the phone about this game, this USC-Michigan. I was 100% wrong. Jance, you cooked a lot of people, and let me just throw myself in the fire.
Right. Because I'm about to jump right in behind you because
I'm behind you.
Fact. Because something no Diddy. Listen,
no Diddy. Fact.
Hey, because something Jan said though, like Alex Orji, I knew he was going to start. I knew he couldn't throw the ball, so I was telling people all week, if USC can just score 21, if they can just score 21, then they can beat Michigan. That's all I thought. I said score 21. I can tell you right now, watching that game, I can tell you one thing's for sure. The interior of that defensive line for Michigan, they ain't having it. I don't care who you are. They ain't having it. I know the guy had 100 yards, but like it's just like they was just a stalwart all day. Now, I will give a shout out to number 4. I want to say that plays linebacker for USC. He was kind of all over the field by himself. Outside of that, not very much to praise on USC's side. Not in my eyes. I think this goes down to Lincoln Riley again. Hey man, it's time for some cover zero. It's time for some just all out run blitzes. Man, lead them corners on the island. They ain't throwing the ball. Why we ain't got 8 in the box? Because they ain't never lined up more than 2 receivers. Let me tell you, the whole game. We should have like 8, 9 in the box. Like just do some unprecedented stuff. If you're gonna get beat, go all out. Don't lose like that, man. Like you just lost the dude threw the ball. 17 times? No, I'm sorry, 13 times. He was 7 for 13 for like 32 yards. That's what Alex Orji was. And they still were just able to have their way. I posted on Twitter after the first quarter. I was like, not like this USC. Like they just running it. They not hiding. Did y'all see the highlight of Cam Ward telling South Florida where the touchdown was coming? He said, right here, this hole right here. That's where we're going. That's kind of what Michigan did to USC. No, dog, we running again. No, line it up, run it again. They look to the sideline like, Coach Moore, what's the play? Same thing as the last play. Let's run it again. And they just kept doing it and kept doing it. USC's got to figure out something, some kind of defense or something like that, man.
Brinsky.
USC, Michigan, Brinsky.
I thought it was gonna be Coach Young.
Coach Young, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Oh, but no. But I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
But man, what can I possibly say? What Jan said, man. I don't know what I was watching, bro. I just couldn't believe because I watched the last drive. Like I tuned in to watch the last drive, and just watching them just run the ball all the way down the field was one of the most crazy things I've seen. Just score a touchdown. Like, you know what they're doing. They wasn't doing nothing special. And to go for it on 4th and goal, and it looked like it was at the 2 or the 3. and just to get it the way they did, I was like, okay, they stuffed him. Then out of nowhere, he just bust through there and scored a touchdown, man.
That tackling was terrible, dog.
Oh,
like
yeah, man.
the backup running back was spinning out of tackles like he was playing college football 25. He just was hitting the O button, just kept spinning.
Man.
Like that video of oh my god, I can't believe I forgot the Ohio State running back.
John Jenkins.
Yeah, and like he just kept spinning and spinning and
I at least give USC some credit, man. They wasn't that bad. They really wasn't that bad, but it was just funny just the way they lost.
Well, I'm mad because I took them in to pick them, and it was 5.5 points. That's all you had to win by, man.
Like, my God, man, come on, man. I was just watching it just to see how, like, okay, I know for sure they're not going to run the ball on this 4th and goal. Boy, did I lie to myself. He said, we made it down here. That's a true definition. If you live by the gun, you die by the gun. And they sure died by it, man. They went all out for that. You got to just give them credit, man. And, even for Michigan, Will Johnson has so much money waiting on him in the NFL. If he make it past 3, something wrong. Something wrong. Somebody's getting a gym, man. He's just been a dog, man.
I have nothing to add, guys. I go ahead, Coach.
For me, I just look at the game script, right? I like to look at the game script on games like this where a quarterback had 30-something yards passing and was able to beat another Power 5. That's cool. You're playing, one of these smaller schools. You don't even really see it in that. But if it happens, you're like, well, okay, maybe they had great success on the ground against these guys. Against USC, who was playing well. So I wanted to go look at the game script, man. Listen, bro. Anytime you got a quarterback that's throwing the ball 50 plus times, bro, and you're not putting up points like that, you just throwing. They punted 7 times for an average of 53 yards a punt, man, for over 300 yards punting. Bro, that tell you Lincoln, if he get behind, he has no game rhythm whatsoever. Let's just chunk it all over the damn yard, right? You're not going to be able to do that against great competition, especially when the team on the other side of the ball is running the ball right down your throat. So it also tells me as an offensive guy that this guy, like, I don't know if they don't have the utensils to just line up and I was thinking, well, maybe they just don't have the players to just line up and run the ball. But like I was telling Coach even though Michigan was very, very good in the middle of their defense, Marks had 13 carries for 100 yards. The dude was averaging 7 yards a play. So why not stick with that? Why not stick with that? Especially if Michigan is running the ball on you. But you choose to go out and do what you know how to do, throw the ball all around the yard. That does not work on good defenses, man. You're going to go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and you allow them to keep the time of possession and run the ball right down your throat. So that tells me Lincoln, if he gets behind, he don't have no type of rhythm for the game at all. Let's just throw it all over the yard. And maybe that worked in the Big 12. Maybe that worked. Maybe that type of game script worked against the Oklahoma States because everybody's scoring, right? But to throw the ball 50-something times, brother, while they running the ball straight down your throat, it's almost like you let the game slip away. That you did the only thing. All coaches in time of panic revert back to what they know best, right? So I don't know about this Lincoln Riley dude. I don't know how this season go. I'm right there with Coach I, right there with Ty. I thought after seeing Michigan, how they looked against Texas, that these guys were going to come in and absolutely get throttled. You know what I'm saying? After seeing USC, and it's just like Coach Jan say, man, we just don't know. Like, man, you just don't know, bro. Like,
they
cause
had the answers to the test, Coach. They had
yeah,
the answers
man.
to the test, and
That's
still
got to be
failed
it,
the
Coach
test,
I.
man.
That's got to be it because I seen Clemson. Man, they look like they're whooping asses right now, right? And we talked about it. Don't be fooled by that Georgia game. It was just Georgia, bro. It was just Georgia, right? Clemson is probably, to me, it's gonna probably be them in Miami for that ACC. And you just don't know, man. It's going into week 4 now, and We just don't know what these teams are. Week five,
man. We've been watching this Michigan offense for 4 weeks, dog.
Yes, the offense is utterly horrible.
Was telling myself and everybody else, there's no way USC can't put up 24 points and just that's all they're gonna need because this offense. I'm not saying that USC had a good defense or anything like that. It was more of a testament to how bad I thought Michigan's offense was, and you got the answers to the test. As a defensive coordinator, you got the answers. They're gonna run it. That's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna do nothing else. They're gonna run the ball.
You allowed these guys, Coach I, to beat you with 30+ yards passing. Brother, that don't tell you, like, damn. That's all you can say about that.
That's demoralizing.
Yeah. We're not even gonna try to throw the ball. We still gonna beat you. That's crazy.
Derrick Henry led teams had more passing yards than that.
Yeah.
Right. That's and Big Bumbo 22. I hear you. We had the game won. We didn't get blown out. You didn't get blown out. But I do, those of you that have been around the channel, you'll know my love for classic literature. So I'm going to quote a classic American, one of the last great literary artists from this country. And that's Dominic Toretto. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning, right? And in this case, it don't matter if you lost by an inch or a mile. It's not the score. Because I hear you. If we just look at that, it's like, okay, we were right there. And you're not wrong. The other half of the equation is they threw for less than 40 yards. You had one job. One. And I was watching that last drive of Michigan's. And I watched Mullins bust it for like 70 yards, and I threw the remote across my backyard. Because I picked USC. So I am a little salty about this. That's part of this, right?
That's part of my reason too. Man.
Yeah.
I picked USC.
Yeah, you don't deserve the anger that's coming at you, but damn it, I was wrong. And so I have to take it out on somebody. So,
well, if you play Bama and you only have 30-something yards passing, I feel pretty damn good that we're going to win that game. Right?
Bro, if you're telling me I would crash out if Bama played somebody, held them to under 40 yards, and we lost, I would crash out.
Done.
I would break shit on this stream right now. Like,
yeah.
Shout out to Khalil Mullins, the backup running back. He had 17 carries for 159 yards for 2 touchdowns, average of 9.4 yards per touch.
Hey, I want to give a shout out right here because I do believe Big Bumbo is throwing me an alley-oop right here by saying we almost had them. I think he's referencing the first Fast and Furious movie where he says to Toretto, I almost
had you.
Shout out to Frightening Truth, because Frightening Truth said you never had me.
you never had your defense. So shout out Big Bumbo. Shout out. Listen, part of our anger is that we got it wrong, right? So I still love the hires y'all made. Right? I can admit that, but damn, that's insane. I've never seen that. Coach I, the last thing we'll say on this before we move on, OU, Tennessee. Georgia holds somebody to under 40 yards passing, but you lose the game. How are you feeling? How are you reacting?
Listen, not for nothing. In the waning years of Mark Richt, we decided to start a guy named Faton Bounta going into the cocktail party. And I think one of those years, Florida didn't have a quarterback. Now, he did throw for about 80 yards, but it was similar feelings. Like you can't throw it, and you just run it on us all day. It's not a good feeling, bro, because you're just watching it like, what? We just can't stop them. They just run. It's like, listen, man, for those old enough to know the PlayStation 2, man, and I know some of the stuff translates to the PlayStation 5, but you just hold down the X when you get them in the right defense, and they can't substitute. They can't call no timeout. They can't do nothing. You just hold down the X, keep running the same play over and over and over, and that's what it felt like Saturday, man. It was like They're running the ball. I'm yelling at the TV. They're running the ball. We ain't got to guess. They're running the ball. And
if he beats you with his arm, so be it.
Right. Like at some point, it's like in basketball when they come across and they hitting these Steph Curry from the logo shots. Then you turn to look at me. I'm like, hey, man, he deserved that shot. I mean, what you supposed to? He deserved that shot. That's like if he beat you over the top, then he beat you over the top. So that's just what it is, man. I don't know. You can't have the answer to the test and still fail the test, man. And especially if I pick you to win. If I hadn't picked you to win, it wouldn't feel so bad.
That's that last part for me, especially because I picked you to win, right? That hurts. That hurts bad. But let's get to the game, what I considered to be the game of the weekend, right? From a schematic matchup. And what a treat it is. I've said this, I've continued to say this. As football fans, we are being treated to some unbelievable schematic matchups this year. Last weekend, we had one, OU Tennessee, Heupel's offense against Venables' defense. We have one this weekend in terms of Kirby Smart's defense, Kalen DeBoer's offense, and then Georgia. Y'all have two of what I consider to be top 5 games all year. You have the Georgia-Bama game, and then you have the Georgia-Texas game. Both on the road. Both are going to be beautiful schematic matchups in terms of Sark's offense, Kirby's defense. But
I'd even throw Georgia Ole Miss in there. It's at Ole Miss.
Damn, y'all do have them on the road too, huh?
We get Tennessee at home, but we get So basically, if you look at Florida's schedule, and look at Georgia's schedule, Florida plays Texas A&M and LSU. We play Auburn and Bama. Everything else is the same except for they do play UCF and we play UMass or something like that. Everything else is the same though.
That's rough.
Just for the record, I call Ole Miss for the upset for that game. Just for the record.
Oh yeah, that's the one I said we was gonna lose. I say it because I don't ever pick anybody to go 12-0. So it didn't matter how we look coming out. It's at Ole Miss. They always play good at home. They don't have to play Bama this year, so they probably been prepared for Georgia all off season.
That's the point.
Not a shadow of a doubt. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, and not for nothing, it's like the third to last game, and then we play Tennessee right after we play Ole Miss.
I love this comment right here by Truth. Man, the SEC isn't nearly as difficult as everyone said. Looks at Texas's schedule. Yeah, y'all did draw a favorable schedule. Y'all are a hell of a team, though. I mean, like y'all are playing real high quality football. Can't take anything away from y'all. Right. I hope Quinn's back this weekend, just because I want him to put it all together. I'm hard on Quinn, but I'm hard on Quinn for a reason, because I know when he's
Not for nothing. Arts don't look too bad back there.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. You got a hell of a quarterback coming up, but you know how it is, Truth. I covered Quinn in high school. I know what he is. I know how he is when he's clicking on all cylinders. That cat's different. But OU Tennessee. I'll go ahead and kick this one off and pass it around after that. In some ways, the game played out a lot how we said here on the channel, right? Whenever we said OU's got to find something in terms of offense. Now, one of the things that we kept being told is that, hey, OU's getting all their players, or not all of them, but a lot of them back healthy against Tennessee. I didn't like that, and I'm going to tell you why. I wouldn't feel near as good about this Bama-Georgia game if Caden Proctor was coming back against Georgia and he didn't have that game against Wisconsin to kind of get, okay, I'm here, getting my feet wet, playing a Power 5 opponent. And I'm not even saying you have to play a killer. Wisconsin's not a killer. But it had to be somebody to start gelling with the guys next to him. Now, the wide receivers I care less about. Those guys, you can supplement them in, but the offensive line, that's where I'm like, you gotta be healthy for more than just this big test. Gentlemen, I'll tell you to me what the most damning thing is right now. And I know that there's a lot of conversation about Jackson Arnold, and he did not look good. He is still very much keying in on one guy, and that is his guy. Credit to him, the interception he threw, he started on this side of the field, made his way to this side of the field, but the second he locked in, it didn't matter what was happening around that wide receiver. He was throwing that ball. There were 3 Tennessee defenders within about 5 yards of that wide receiver. It ended up being picked off. But the most damning thing to me, OU averaged 1.1 yards per carry against Tennessee. Now, there are 2 sides to this story. Tennessee has a solid defense. I take nothing away from them. This problem didn't emerge against Tennessee. They have not found a semblance of a running game all year long. So, yes, while I acknowledge Tennessee, you look like a team. Can't wait to play you. That's going to be so much fun. This didn't start with Tennessee for Oklahoma. And if you want to say, Ty, a lot of those yards are being detracted because we had 3 sacks and so many negative plays. Okay, I'll take all of them out. All of the Jackson Arnold negative plays out. You had 29 rushing attempts for 57 yards, averaging 2.18 yards per carry. If I take away the sacks, that's still bad. Guys, OU's defense, especially that front 7, I don't know what more they can do. And I sent this to Coach Sean and Jake in our group chat. If I was on OU's defense, I'm throwing somebody boxing gloves on the offense after that game. Now, not the night of that game, because I'd be too damn tired because I was on the field all game. But come Sunday morning, I'm throwing someone boxing gloves because I'm pissed. It's like we played one of the most high-power offenses in college football. I was out on the field for almost 11 minutes more than our offense was. Throw me a bone. Do something. I have no qualms with OU's defense. And I understand we can have, intricacies about the secondary. I get all of that. I think OU's front 7 is elite. But whenever you look at this, I don't care how good your defense is. If you have no semblance of an offense, nothing is going to happen. Even if he's saying, have y'all talked about Duke Johnson decommitting? I did not know he had decommitted, and if that is the case, that sucks.
Duke Johnson decommitted from who? I don't keep up with recruiting.
I don't see anything, Keenafy, so I certainly hope Duke Johnson is a Bama commit. I would certainly hope he didn't commit. I have nothing on my timeline.
I won't know it. I won't know nothing about recruiting until a week before signing day. Then I'll know everything.
So I certainly hope that's not the case because he is a monster, absolute monster of a player. But talking about Oklahoma, I have a question. This is the last thing I'll say about this, guys. Even if you make the quarterback change to Hawkins, and Hawkins, they did have more juice with Hawkins. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Tennessee took their foot off the gas. Not on defense, they didn't. They blitzed Hawkins more than they blitzed Arnold. So they were going after the young guy, which makes sense, right? He's young. Let's rattle him. He's coming in halfway through the game. Let's send it at him. Let's make him work. He didn't look bad. I'll give you that. Kid looks like he's got some juice. Fair. What the hell is the identity of Oklahoma's offense? I don't have a clue. And until you figure that out, it's going to be some rough sledding, right? As good as your defense is, Coach y'all played Clemson. Game 1. Clemson held it together for the first half. The dam broke. I was shocked OU's defense held as well as they did to only give up 25 points whenever your offense couldn't put a drive together, whenever there were that many turnovers. Now, there were turnovers on both sides, but shout out to their defense. You did everything that you were asked. You got the ball in not advantageous situations given to the other team. I have nothing but praise, especially for that front 7. 3 sacks on Tennessee, 9 tackles for loss. Tennessee had 3 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. So, Coach talk to me, man, because something's got to change.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about Michael Hawkins to say if he's the guy, but like you said, when he came in, he looked less rattled. I would say that. One of the things I think I was talking about going into the game was Nico was the one that's on the road. Nico and Jackson both in the same class, recruiting class, both 5 stars coming out. But Jackson had the privilege and the advantage of playing at home in front of what was apparently a very raucous crowd. In those situations, you would think the visiting young quarterback would be rattled. And although he did turn the ball over, Nico never looked rattled. Like, not at one point during the game. He never looked rattled. I think Jackson definitely got rattled. He definitely didn't play good, but there's a lot on that offense that didn't play good. And I'm not even going to talk about the players. I want to talk about the coach. And I think somebody said it in the comments. Latrell, Seth Latrell. Hey man, your offensive line can't block. Roll the pocket. Let's call some quick hitters. Let's get Jackson Arnold in the running game. You know what I'm saying? Like let's change it up, bro. Because you trying to sit there and block this Tennessee front, which I actually think Tennessee front is like super good. You know what I'm saying? Can you? Oh, not sure anyone mentioned. It's just me. My level's low. Y'all can't hear me.
No,
Sometimes
I can hear you good.
Sometimes I turn it down because it be seeming so loud on my end. So I know somebody in the comments said it, but yeah, I think
it's
that
like
Tennessee.
that sometimes. Yeah,
I think the Tennessee defense, especially that front number 10. I don't know what his name is. The guy that's in the middle, and that linebacker number 11, and then Jermod or Jermod, the corner number 9. They all three of those guys played lights out. OU's defensive front, it's gonna be hard to run on those guys. Every yard that 6 for Tennessee got, he had to earn every single one of them. So I think there is some things to shore up on the back end. I like the safety that OU has, but those corners, sometimes when the safeties was doing their job, man, the corners was giving up inside leverage when the safeties was coming down. And you ain't got no help on the inside. So it's like, you can't give up inside leverage. Those post routes, those skinny go routes, those type of things, you can't give up inside leverage. But OU's defense did what they were supposed to do. The offense is absolutely atrocious. I'm interested to see going forward what Michael Hawkins looks like. This kind of reminds me, and I'm not saying he's as good as Tua, but it reminds me of when Bama brought Tua in. We didn't practice for Tua. So I'm not saying that Michael Hawkins isn't good, but Tennessee didn't practice for Michael Hawkins. They didn't have anything, they didn't have no reps to watch. They didn't have no film to break down. I still think he did definitely look better than Jackson. I don't think I'm ready to throw Jackson all the way away. I think he still got the physical tools to be a quarterback, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do going forward, because if Michael Hawkins is the starter, I think OU just lost Jackson Arnold, and I'd be shocked if he didn't hit the portal if he doesn't play anymore this season, other than like blowouts.
completely agree. Coach Sean, talk to me.
Listen, man. For me, the truth is in the details, bro. It ain't even. We sit right here on this very show a couple days before that game, and we said basically, without even going too deep with it, without even getting into schematics about it, we said that OU's defense. I watched OU's defense. Those guys will keep them in every game this year with that effort that they put out Saturday. They'll be in every game if that's how they're going to play. We also said we hadn't seen enough from OU's offense to make me or Ty believe that for 4 quarters that they were going to stay in the game with Tennessee. At some point, your offense got to help you out, man. I agree with Coach I about all the schematic stuff that he's 100% correct on that. But if your offensive line is getting belt put to their asses the way they did, and I mean from jump, I seen one play where dude was playing inside technique. He took one arm and pushed the center right on his keister.
I talked about that in the video, and
What?
Branson Hickman got bull rushed all the way back with one arm, and I said,
one arm.
Ooh.
Like, come on, bro.
It's bad.
You can't get whipped like that up front. If I need for people that never played ball to understand, if you get beat up front like that the whole game, What that does is you take defensive people and it gives them confidence. As an offensive person, I'm telling the defense, we can't do nothing else. So then they begin to tee off on you. Then they begin to get confident. Safeties will creep up in the box, just like the coaches were talking about. At that point, you're in some trouble. You almost have to find a quarterback that can move, which Jackson can move. Jackson can move. Um, no matter how well OU's defense played in that game, which I knew they would. It's a home game. It's the first SEC game. OU's crowd is going to be bananas. These guys are going to play well on the defensive side. Defense travels. They're at home, whatever the case may be. They're going to play well on the defensive side. I've been watching them all year. But the offense has not had an identity, brother. The offense has not had an identity. When I watch these guys play, I watch Jackson Arnold run around. They don't have a consistent running game. The offensive line is getting beat at times, week to week to week. When they finally do put some stuff together and the offensive line get a good drive going, they're running quarterback sneaks with him running all over the place. They're running short passes. They're doing nothing to challenge you downfield with all those great receivers. They're doing nothing to make me afraid on the defensive side of the ball, right? So I didn't have any confidence in OU's offense, man. I don't. And I'll tell you this, going forward, I'm not sure. I'm kind of like Coach I don't know enough about the other young man to say is he the right person. I'm not sure I would just completely go to him right now. Jackson got you this far, right? I would just try to give Jackson a week or two to improve. Now, Jackson did look a little starstruck in the beginning of that game with the turnovers and things of that nature, right? He did. But I'll say this as an offensive guy. When you're getting put on your keister on a 3-step drop every time, just about, you tend to do that. You tend to rush throws. You tend not to rely on your fundamentals anymore because dude was getting his block knocked off straight up. And they didn't make no qualms about it. Tennessee didn't make no qualms about it. They didn't hide anything. They lined up and they physically whipped you in the front. And that tells me that Tennessee saw it on film. They didn't schematic. They didn't trick you with all these weird stunts and all these crazy. No, they lined up man on man, and they beat you up front. That's film study. That's the same thing we all talked about last week. The film don't lie, guys. The film don't lie. And all I'll say is going forward, Oklahoma has to create some offense, man. If they don't create no offense, a lot of the SEC teams that are similar to Tennessee up front, it's going to play them the same way. You got to do something to make people play you honest. And if Oklahoma don't do something like that, they'll find in this conference, everybody will play them like that.
Boomer 129. I wanted to ask. I don't know enough about Seth Luttrell's past. Is he not a quarterback guy at all? I know you said y'all don't have a quarterback coach. He said that Oklahoma doesn't have a quarterback coach. I thought most a lot of teams don't have a dedicated quarterback coach. It's normally the OC.
This is his first time. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, I have it up. This is his first time ever serving as a quarterback coach.
He says, and he was former fullback. Oof, not a good combo. Oh,
so he was a graduate assistant at Kansas, a running back coach at Tech, running back tight end at Arizona, co-offensive coordinator. You get where I'm going.
Now I get right? Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right, Boomer 129. You guys don't have anybody to coach up the quarterback, and
I just had to make sure. Truth, I didn't think he had, but I didn't want to say no, he hasn't, and then someone be like, "Oh, well, when he was at North Carolina, he was technically the quarterback coach," and it'd be like, "Oh, well, I just thought he was offensive coordinator."
Hey man,
so I just had to double check.
I'm gonna take a long shot in the dark here. I hope they start Michael Hawkins for selfish reasons. Jackson Arnold then hits the portal. Kirby's gonna be looking for a quarterback in the portal. Come on, Athens.
Look, I'll say this. What does a quarterback coach, with respect to my brother Boomer, who I love him, he always reminds me of my lip sweater and all those wonderful
or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof, right. I would ask you this, Boomer, and this is more to my point of what I was saying. It was 3rd and 6. Tennessee had 7 people in the box. Linebackers were creeping up to the line screaming, "Y'all run a quarterback sneak," and get stuffed for 3 yards in the backfield. Everybody playing man, middle of the field, wide open, right behind the linebackers, mesh routes, wide open, high lows, anything, right? 3-step, let it go. And you hike to Jackson Dart, and he run up the middle and get stuffed. Now you're punting. I I'm an offensive guy. I don't understand. That's all I'll say.
Look, man, I ain't gonna take up the whole bunch of time. I know Jazz probably got a rant in here for us to enjoy. And Brissy got something, but like stuff like this, like when you're on your own 4 and then you get a false start call or something, so it goes half the distance. I'm cool. Like run the ball because that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? Run the ball in those situations to give yourself a little bit more space. Really, you should be really calling plays so that you can get space to punt. That's all you really should be doing. But you don't do it from the shotgun, bro. Like you can't do it from the shotgun.
Well,
like that ain't on Jackson Arnold. Like that's on
that's
Seth
a fireable offense.
Right, that's on Seth Latrell. You can't do that from the shotgun. Like that against this defensive front? Nah, dog. That's like you don't do that, man. So that
was the safety, wasn't it?
That was a safety. Yes, that was a safety. I was like, when they was in shotgun, I was like, this is not going to end well. I thought he was going to throw the ball, but I was like, either way, it was going to be a pick 6, turnover, something. I was like, this is not going to end well. He should be up on the center. I don't care if they did the tush push 3 times in a row just to punt the ball. Get it out of your end zone.
That's so fast. Hey, well, Coach, I'm going to take this one further. Brinsky, I'm going to pass it to you. I'm so sorry, but I'm pissed off now. When Hawkins came in, they had the ball on like the 1 or the 2. They're in the shotgun. And I'm sitting here, and I know people will be like, but Ty, maybe he's never taken the ball under center. The hell? That doesn't take a PhD class to say, Hut, give me the ball, and we're QB sneaking. It might not be sexy. Guess what? It works. Guys, I'm the type that if I was on the 1 yard line, I'm going to go ahead and let you know. We're QB sneaking from the center 4 times in a row. Like, I don't care because all I need is to fall forward. I don't even need to run. I just need to fall forward and touchdown.
Bruh.
I don't like, I don't know. Brinsky, go ahead. You're on mute, my man.
And I looked right at it right before speaking. I was like, come on, man. Yeah, man. I think that was probably the most annoying thing about the game when I was sitting there watching. Cause I thought it was gonna be one of those Saturday night classics, man. But it's just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Even if he never took a snap from under center, I would have just had a running back there and let it snap to the running back and let him run out. If that's the case, I would have not been in no shotgun with the quarterback that hand it off because that's time. You got to be real quick with that. And you know the defense coming after you because they're trying to get the safety. And then he looked like he didn't even try to give too much effort to even get out the end zone anyway. But the Oklahoma defense is definitely legit. I just ain't like that one play. I keep getting it confused with the Auburn and Arkansas game, but that one play when they did look like a 5-yard slant and the safety came down and the middle of the field was wide open. They took it for that long touchdown. It felt like that's when the momentum was just gone right there because they had Tennessee at that point. They just couldn't generate no offense, and it just seemed like them boys just started getting in the rhythm. And then also that hit on the sideline, that was pretty much like a welcome to the SEC.
Boy.
I was like, my goodness.
I was like, we out here playing football now. I was so pumped. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's against a physical ass running back too. Like Javonte Barnes isn't nobody to sneeze at, bro. Like he'll run your ass over. He is a physical, imposing running back. And that Tennessee DB came in like a missile.
Listen, he started from the other side of the field too. I went back and watched it. Like he had a straight line and never had to break stride either. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, like it was a
meeting other minds.
And just to see when I thought a running back was going, he got back up for a second, then he went back down. I'm like, I understand, man, but welcome to the NFL, not the NFL, the SEC. This ain't the Big 12 no more. This is week to week now. You're gonna see this every week with physical football, man. I'm trying to tell you. So I don't know what's up with Jackson Arnold. I'm actually like how you guys picked USC. I don't know what was wrong with me. I just thought Oklahoma offense would somehow pick up a little bit, and I thought their defense would be good enough to slow down Tennessee. But to their credit, they did. It was just the offense. It was just really the offense just kept bringing out the defense so much they probably got tired out. But let them boys score 25 points. I think I actually predicted them. I think 24. I said 21 or 24 point. But I thought Oklahoma was going to give you a whole lot more. So I don't know. They need to figure out this quarterback situation. I still think it's Jackson Arnold. But I wish we had one of the guys on here from Oklahoma. I would love to hear Jay take on this because I know these guys are just in shambles right now. But hey, man, it's a long season. It's a long season. It ain't like this one loss is detrimental. It ain't the end of the world. It
Get
doesn't
right
matter.
weekend coming. Get right weekend coming.
Honestly, like, and
get
this-
right weekend coming.
The only thing I know, they need to be ready, try to figure out something before Texas. They need to know who their guy is before that game, and they need to be ready. Whatever they're doing on offense, stop it. Do something different because it's not working. Run the ball if you got to. Just do something different. I don't know.
Hey, they're gonna get right. They're gonna get right this weekend down on the plains.
well, and here's the thing, guys.
Oh, go ahead. I had one more.
Oh no, Brinsky, by all means, please.
Oh no, the only and I forgot all about it. Thank you, Coach Al, for reminding me, which I kept telling Jason and them the whole time. Oh, y'all think that was bad? Just wait until you go in and Jordan here, and you do that same stuff. I'm telling you, man, you better come ready to play. Because that crowd is not going to shut up. They're going to only get louder, especially if they know they got a chance, especially with them trash quarterbacks that they got over there to the legendary Hank Brown.
I was about to say, I think like OU definitely got some offensive issues, but I think Auburn's worse.
Yeah, but I believe that defense is going to save them, but they gotta do something to get up out of it.
I think OU's defense is vastly better than Auburn's. So, and their offense, while not good, is better than Auburn. So, OU gonna put a hurting on Auburn.
Yeah, so I'm done with them.
Yeah, that was my only point. Is when I look at this game, Auburn throws it to the wrong team like it's going out of style. They don't run. I mean, Jarquez Hunter's a hell of a running back. Like, it's not on him. I think he's super talented.
Transfer portal.
I know.
I'm trying to get everybody.
Yeah, well, both teams lost one of their best DBs, Lance. That's the crazy thing. Auburn lost the cat. That was teach tape. That hit he put on the Arkansas DB.
He smashed that dude.
Right. Then he got hurt and got carted off though.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's out, and then Kendall Dolby, I shouldn't say is out, but I know he got real hurt.
Oh. Yeah.
Chance, bring us on home.
I got to give credit. I got to give a lot of credit to Tennessee's defense. I got to give a lot of credit to Rodney Gardner, and who's the defensive line coach, who's doing a hell of a job. And I got to give a lot of credit to Tim Banks. They have a very, very deep rotation throughout their defensive line. Linebacking core is amazing. I got to figure out who these two linebackers actually are because they were literally all over the place. And I'm looking for linebackers because, my Buffalo Bill linebackers, they can't stay healthy. So I'm trying to look for some sort of replacements. And, man, we're talking flowing to the football, engaging on blockers and just sniffing out the football, it was just amazing. Everything that you want to see in a linebacker doing in terms of just instincts in terms of play rec and just diagnosing where certain run plays would actually be at and getting players in the right position. The communication was amazing. So I got to give a lot of credit to those two coaches, especially to Rodney Gardner, defensive line, who, let's be honest, the last couple of years they've been beasts. They've had some monsters. James Pierce is probably going to be one of them. Byron Young, who's with the LA Rams, doing an amazing job. So James Pierce, they have a very, very deep rotation on the defensive line. And I do think that's a key strength. That's a key strength for Tennessee to potentially, to potentially win a national championship, maybe win a national championship, is you got to be strong in the trenches. And one thing that Tennessee, I think, does have is they have a strong offensive line and they have a strong defensive line. And this is what people don't want to talk about. Tennessee had 2 offensive linemen, 2 guards that were down to their 3rd string. And they played that game. They didn't skip a beat. Like, they looked fine. They looked really, really good out there. So Tennessee's been dealing with health issues, and yet they still found a way to not only still have that continuity, but to continue continue to be assertive on the offensive on both sides on the line of scrimmage. So I got to give credit to both sides here. Oklahoma, yeah, Seth Littrell needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. Fire the passing coordinator. Who's the passing? I'm trying to think of his name.
John Finley.
Yes, Finley, and it's one Emmett Jones.
I'm not mad at Emmett Jones. He's that wide receiver coach that he's been the only bright spot on that offense.
I mean, just reset the entire offensive. I mean, Emmett Jones can stay. That's fine, but yeah, they gotta they gotta reset it. That's terrible. The offensive line. I think that we are seeing the effects, unfortunately, of Biddingbow. We are seeing the effects, unfortunately, when you keep losing that much turnover in the offensive line over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good of an offensive line coach that you actually are. It's hard to keep replacing that production over and over and over again, because Oklahoma in the last couple of years, they've gone to they've had some good recruits, but they've gone to the transfer portal a lot the last couple of years, and to their credit, they've been excellent. But it's just been a disaster now for this particular year. It's hard to keep replacing production over and over and over again. And again, they have a very young offensive line. You got to try to develop that offensive line. It's going to take more than a year in order for that to get straight. So, we'll kind of see what happens there. But yeah, the receivers wise, I mean, I don't think that they're the issue. I don't think that it's just them. But I think a lot of it has to do with scheme. I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of, I'm not in love with these receiving concepts at all. It's very reminiscent to what Bill O'Brien was running with Alabama, where we just, you're not giving these receivers an opportunity. You're just not giving them a chance. And so this offense is just terrible. And then they got to figure out the quarterback. In my personal opinion, once you took Jackson out that game, I think that, yes, you can make him a starter, but he's lost his confidence. You've broken that kid down, unfortunately. I think he's lost his confidence. And so that is something that I just don't know if you can replace. I think once you benched him, I don't think you should go back. I think you should just continue to go forward, and then Jackson Arnold's going to enter the transfer portal. He'll go somewhere else. You're not just gonna. I mean, listen. When you bench a quarterback, especially a young quarterback that is developing, you don't do that. You don't do that, especially when you're not giving this kid an opportunity and a chance. One thing that I liked about what Oklahoma did in the second half with the backup was that they just featured him in the run game. They featured him a lot in the run game, which was able to open up the passing attack. But why didn't you do that with Jackson Arnold? Jackson Arnold's a dual threat quarterback, and you didn't even allow him the opportunity to be even featured there in the first place. So Oklahoma has a big issue, but no, Littrell needs to go. That's like first priority for Brent Venables. The defense was ready. That was one thing that I predicted. I said that Oklahoma would be fine in the SEC. I thought that their defense would be much more improved, especially on the front seven. I was right. I was completely right, because they lost 2 key players, including one and 2. Which, by the way, hopefully he's all right, because that looked like a nasty injury. But even when they were gone, they didn't skip a beat. Like Oklahoma's, like if Oklahoma's offense just didn't turn over the ball, and they were able to capitalize on the field, on the phenomenal field position that Oklahoma's defense kept giving them, Oklahoma could have won that game. They could have won that game. And so this was not on the defense. I feel bad for Danny Stutzman. I feel bad for Billy Bowman, because they came back because they thought that Oklahoma would be a much better football team and that they would have a much better shot of making it to the playoffs. And it feels like their efforts were just wasted. You even brought in I forgot the name, the player from Tennessee who transferred over to Oklahoma, and he's starting for them, and he's playing absolutely phenomenal. Dominic.
TCU is Dominic Williams. DeJoun Terry is the cat from Tennessee.
Okay, DeJoun Terry. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong names. So yeah, it is what it is for that aspect. I do feel bad for Oklahoma, and Well, their defense. I feel bad for their defense. That's a championship level defense. That literally might be the best defense I think I've seen since 2008. That might be the best Oklahoma defense I've seen since 2008, and that's not even an over-exaggeration. That defense is legit carrying this football team to wins. They did it against Houston, they did it against Tulane, and they did it now. This Oklahoma offense is the problem, and if you're an Oklahoma fan, it's got to be infuriating because for a decade plus, your offense has had to be the one that's had to do everything, while your defense was some of the worst in the 21st century, and now all of a sudden, you go into the Brent Venables era. He said everything that he was going to do. He said he's one of the first things he talked about was that this defense, we were going to focus a lot on the defense. He fixed the issue, but now the problem is your offense. So something's got to happen. Like if it sucks because of Lincoln. If you had a Lincoln Riley offense with this defense, oh yeah, Oklahoma's winning the national championship. Oh, they're winning the national championship. But unfortunately, they can't have both halves. It's one or the other. And unfortunately, if it was the Big 12 conference, Oklahoma could have been fine, but you're in the SEC conference and it's just, yeah, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, you got defensive fronts that are just straight up ferocious, right? Tennessee's got some good things going. Bama's defensive front is growing. You play them later on in the year. Listen, as bad as Auburn has been, Auburn's got some cats on that defensive front that are no slouch. I mean, that's the one area of when I've watched Auburn, I've been like, damn, they do got some guys up front that are pretty damn good football players. I'll give you that. I know OU fans are going to hate to say that or hear this, but Texas lost those two monsters last year. And I'm not saying they have any guys on the interior at that level, but damn it, they're playing good football. Right? Like they're still playing, and the exterior is much better. Colin Simmons is a monster. Trey Moore is a monster. I hate Texas for getting Anthony Hill because that young man is a monster. Anthony Hill is unbelievable. And Truth, thank you very much for expanding upon this because, guys, Truth has been, I've seen the comment, but I just wanted to wait until a break in the action. Shout out Bishop, Frank, with the $2 saying Kyler Murray's dad is Michael Hawkins' fam. I believe earlier, Bishop, you said that he's his quarterback coach as well, or was when he was in high school. That's, listen, Kyler special. And Hawkins had the juice, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So thank you for the $2, Bishop. But I wanted to have Truth expand upon this, guys, because I've caught the comment a few times, wanted to get into a nice break in the action for me to talk about this. So Truth, thank you very much for being here for that. Thank you for being patient with me. He says, when he threw the backward pass, that was a no-read run play. He was supposed to give it. BV said so, and I watched it. That's a running play. The wide receiver had no idea the ball was coming. Huh.
I was on the one that was called the backward pass, and it was a fumble, and Tennessee recovered.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that would make somewhat sense because it was a terrible design play, but I swore when I watched it, and I haven't watched the game back, but I swore that wide receiver he did a step back ready for it. Coach I, what did you see?
I thought it was an RPO where the read was clearly to give the ball to the running back, but I still thought it was an RPO play. And
yeah,
Jackson definitely, I thought he definitely made the wrong read. Of course, again, waiting on the all 22 when you get it, but I can't disagree with whatever BV said. I mean, he's the coach,
yeah, 100%.
So he knows. But from the TV copy, it looked like it was an RPO where on the RPO, for those that don't know, and most of y'all do, there's a key defender. You read the key defender, you either give it or you pull it and throw it. And I thought the read was to give it all the way because of the read, because of the defender, but he didn't give it to the running back and he pulled it and tried to throw it. So, but again, if BV said that, he was supposed to just give it, then that means he calls a straight running play. I really don't understand why that's what don't make sense to me. I don't know. It just don't make sense. If he called a straight running play, then the wide receiver should have already been blocking. Like if it's a straight running play, like you block right now if it's a straight running play. So
Yeah, if it was a straight running play, everybody executed that awfully.
Right.
Which, listen, goes into Joel Klatt. By the way, did y'all get that? What I sent y'all about the Auburn players
Yeah, I
tweeting
read
out?
it. That's crazy, though.
Isn't that beautiful? But Joel Klatt had tweeted that he had rewatched the game. And he said, and I quote, "Just watch that OU football offense film from last night. It was worse than you think. As bad as I've seen in a while. Poor fundamentals, scheme, execution, all of it." So, yeah. Xavier says, "Will you have a post-game Bama versus Georgia?" Of course. Of course. Win, lose, tie, beat down. Either way.
Well,
yep. This is where
I will say this. I would, for those that come on to the snap count on Saturdays, if Georgia loses, I'll be there. If Georgia wins, I probably won't do the snap count. Probably will be taking some shots.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Well, no, truth, he's talking about the wide receiver. The wide receiver was not blocking on that play, which is confusing.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't at all.
Which is confusing,
and that's why I want the all 22, because I want to see what the other side, what the other wide receiver was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I tell you what, if it was a run play and the wide receiver knew it and he wasn't blocking, he's getting chewed out, even though the play, wasn't his fault, but he's still getting chewed out for not blocking immediately.
Yeah, well, here we are. Well, with our remaining time, we are going to lightly preview this Bama Georgia game. Because we've got, even though he's outnumbered, we love him. We love him. Coach I, representing the Dogs. But you know how we do on this channel. We might be a little bit biased, but we also keep it real enough to be able to have these sort of conversations. Bama, Georgia. Let's get into it with our remaining time. We'll go once around the table. We'll get out of here. It's been an hour, 41 minutes, and I know Monday Night Football is about. Did it already kick off, or does it kick off here like in the next 14 minutes?
Yeah, we're in the second quarter.
That shows you how much NFL I've kept up with ever since I started college football. But for me, guys, the keys to this game are simple. On defense, you've got to heat up Beck. And ideally, you would like to do it. I mean, you can send blitzes, but I think every defense in the world would like to heat up a quarterback sending 4. Right? I don't think that's a genius take by me. I think every defense in the world wants to do the same thing. Interested whenever I heard Womack say that we haven't seen what the defense wants to roll out yet. That both makes me excited and apprehensive, right? Like, well, I damn sure hope we've practiced it, because I don't want to bring something out that's not been thoroughly practiced against Georgia. That's not the team. So we'll see. But for Alabama's defense, I really want to see LT Overton have a big game. And Coach I, this is the unfortunate part. Y'all have a really key offensive lineman that will not be playing in this game, if I'm not mistaken. LT Overton is peaking right now. This is a game where he has got to have a big showing out party, especially if Rutledge isn't there. You need him, Tim Keene, and Otis to really take advantage of that guy not being there, which it sucks he's not there, because that kid's very, very talented. For Bama's offense, you have got to establish the run. And the beautiful thing is, and Coach I, you and I talked about this, it's not that either team has a bad run defense. It's not the case at all. But like Coach I told me last night on the phone, whenever you're Bama, whenever you're Georgia, you don't compare yourself to everybody else. You compare yourself to Bama. You compare yourself to Georgia. Well, comparatively speaking, both defenses, while not being bad against the run, they're not their normal stonewall selves against the run. Both defenses that we thought had young secondaries are actually playing the pass phenomenally. I mean, some of the top 2 in the country against the pass. Love to see it. So for Bama, you have got to establish the run. Jam Miller is so damn explosive, right? So he's key, but also Jalen Milroe. He was big last year in terms of when a play needed to happen, he made it happen, right? But now I think he's got a better offensive scheme around him. I think that the offensive line is better around him because, well, at least I hope they are. It's we've only seen it with one game, Wisconsin, so we'll know for certain after this game. I hope they're better, but I do think that the scheme is better around him. You have got to establish that run game and get it to where you can hit those downfield shots by getting Georgia to be creeping up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a game in front of us. Coach I, talk to me about your keys to victory.
You hit on it a little bit, man. I think this comes down to which rush defense can actually be up to their standard. Currently, neither rush defense is elite. Now, if you look at the number, we're giving up, I think Georgia's giving up 110 yards a game. Bama's giving up like 120 yards a game on the ground. But that's not, again, like what you said, it's not the Bama standard. It's not the Georgia standard. We're normally in the 70s and the 80s, that type of thing. So quite frankly, with the inexperience in both back ends, we've been top 5, both teams, in pass defense. So I think this game comes down to who can rush. And me and Coach Sean talked about this on multiple occasions. It's not even about rushing for 200 yards. It's about the key rushes, the getting the first down rushing. And Coach Sean, it's crazy. We talked about that game in the SEC championship, and I was saying that I thought y'all had like 150 yards rushing. Bro, I went back and looked at it today. Y'all had 110 yards rushing, but I swear all of them came on second and third down. It's like it's the timeliness of the rush, and I think that's where this game is won or lost. Whichever team can be effective on the ground. I don't think either team's going for 200 yards, by the way, on the ground, but I do think whichever team is effective on the ground is going to come away victorious this weekend. Oh, and just to one of the commenters, I think it was my guy Lance. He said Beck's not real good under pressure in 20 outside of the Kentucky game, because he definitely, you are right, he didn't definitely, and I wouldn't even say pressure. He was just hearing steps that wasn't there. I mean, y'all want to go watch my breakdown. I'm just like, where you going, Carson? Stay in the pocket because it is there. But in 2023 against the Blitz, he was 71% for 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. So to that pressure thing.
Yeah. Listen, Beck's experience. And this is the other thing, Coach Sean, as I pass it to you. Both quarterbacks are now a year more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that will be a factor in this game as well. Coach Sean, talk to me about this game. Definitely agree with Eric saying this is going to be the game of the season thus far. Moon saying this is definitely the game of the century for the year. I mean, this is huge, and we get it this early. Can't say enough about it.
For me, it comes down to a few pros and cons. Just for us, Alabama, we still have a young secondary. Carson Beck would be the best quarterback we faced to date yet right now.
Oh, yeah.
Carson Beck, the thing that makes me have concern is when we played South Florida, me and Coach Jay talked about this. There were receivers open. That quarterback couldn't hit them. We played Wisconsin. They ran a mesh route, dude running right across the middle of the field. They couldn't get him the ball. If we don't, and it's not necessarily about blitzing Carson Beck. You got to get to him. You got to get to him and make him get off his square. If you get him off his square, we have a little success with that. But if you just blitz him and you still don't get to him, he can kill you. This kid won't miss those wide receivers. If you don't get somebody in his face, those guys that's running behind the corners, he'll hit them. He'll hit them. And if you allow them to get their play action game going, we gonna be in some trouble, man. We got to get our perimeter defense fixed. The defense on the perimeter has got to be fixed. Georgia will test your perimeter. All these young secondary guys like Red, I love Red. I don't want to see Red in one-on-one out there on, I just don't, right? This is the one thing I said about that nickel 4-2-5. You got to have some defensive backs and some kids, these rovers that want to come up and hit. Well, they're gonna get their chance this week. You know what I'm saying? And Ryan Williams, we've sort of kind of forced the ball to this kid and really hadn't got a lot of people involved. What happens when they take Ryan away? What happens when you play that team that Ryan can't really just get open like he want to? Who's gonna step up? Now the pros is for me is Jalen Milroe. Jalen is that type of kid. He's confident this year. You can have the perfect defense, and Jalen's legs is the stopper. I can guarantee you that is Kirby's number one concern, Jalen Milroe.
And them legs, boy.
Yeah, man, because you could be 3rd and 5, had a great defense, everybody covered. You could have a spy, and Jalen still outrun you to the edge, right? He's confident this year. They're using him in more his comfort zone. It'll be interesting to see how many spies or if Kirby spies on 3rd down. With the way Georgia plays in their secondary, my favorite route of all time, and Ty knows what it is, it will be there. That post corner will be there. Attack the safety aggressively, attack the corner. Whoever lined up in front of you, and whatever, depending on what leverage they play, attack him aggressively to the post. If he closes space, you plant your foot and you hit the pylon. If he does not close space and try to hang back, go ahead and throw the post route. That route, you mark my words now, that route will be there. So you can call me Sean Stradamus, right? It'll be there. That post corner will be there, man. When and where we throw it, that's a whole nother story. It's going to be interesting to see how well we stay away from their safeties or attack their safeties, depending on alignment and down and distance. And finally, it's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive Georgia is in the front 7. I think if they're very aggressive, that will give Ryan some one-on-one battles out there to see what he can do with those guys. This will be a game when your talent will be matched with more talent. This won't be a game where you got a corner out there who's scared to death and he can't cover you and he know it. This will be a game where they want you to run. This will be a game where you're going against a corner that's just as talented as the receiver. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'll finish with this. 3rd down will be key. 3rd down on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, 3rd down will be key.
100%. Brinsky, I'm going to pass it to you, then go Jance, and then Coach I. I'm going to keep this Moonrock comment up right here, and then I'll pass it to you as these two gentlemen below finish up their assessment of the game.
I'm not going to be long because Coach Sean took my number 1 point. It's that secondary, man. It's that secondary. That's the only thing.
Kirby knows that.
If we still had the secondary that we had last year, I would have 0 worries about this game right now. But that secondary is all, they got all the talent in the world. And I know they're going to be some dogs in the future. It's right now, they're fresh. A lot of freshmen are playing. And in that South Florida game, we've seen a lot of misses, like Coach Sean said. Now we got going against a quarterback. We know he won't miss those shots. If he missed one, he ain't going to miss the next one. I can promise you that. And definitely don't want to see red on no island. One thing I know for sure, we got to attack is Georgia D-line. I don't think they as strong as they was with the 2001 team, but we see a lot of those guys in the NFL for good reason. But
right.
I'm just saying we just got to get them while they down now. Just get them while we're down now. Just test it out, see if we can find some creases or whatnot. See if we can buzz one. No Diddy, but that's my first one ever, so I just had to get that one.
No
Diddy. But yeah, man. Definitely try to get a run game, then see if we can get some play action off. Georgia's definitely going to be disciplined. They're definitely going to be ready. They have easily one of my favorite guys in the secondary. I love this guy since he was a freshman. First game, Malachi starts. The NFL waiting on you, my brother. So it's going to be one of those classic games, but I hope we pull off with the win. But if we don't, it's still not the end of the world. It's 12-team playoff and all that. But I definitely want to beat Georgia just so I can not really say nothing to Coach I, but some other Georgia fans that just talk too crazy.
Right.
And Jance, as I pass it to you, I do want to get into some breaking news that Steven brought us, because it has been announced on Brent Venables' coach's show that Michael Hawkins will start Saturday at Auburn. As I have the hiccups, a little aside note, if you have the hiccups, just tell yourself you're going to think I'm crazy. Try it. And I want everybody to report back to me on this. Next time you get the hiccups, you genuinely think to yourself, hiccups aren't real. They don't exist. And they go away. If that's how I can prove that we're in a simulation, There it is. Michael Hawkins will be starting against Auburn. And on the heels of that, Hugh Freeze has some interesting comments on his recent losses where he said, and I quote, I mean, no offense at all to Arkansas or to Cal. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is if we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times.
Man, get
well,
out
damn
of
it, you should have won the first time.
If a if was a fifth, we'll all be drunk.
We drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
That guy is ridiculous.
Jackson
Jance-
Arnold's hitting the portal and he's going to be in Athens next year.
Here
Yeah.
you go.
Here you Jance, talk to me. I
Yeah, man, this is gonna be a very important game for recruiting. We got a lot, like literally the most important game in terms of in terms of prospects visited. And like I said, you don't have to necessarily win the game. Like you talk to a lot of the recruits that were part of that 2020 class, right? When we lost to LSU and those LSU players came up and said, "Come to LSU." Like a lot of them, they weren't perturbed by it. Like if anything, you kind of justified why they should be going to Alabama because that was a competitive. Literally, those were the 2 best teams playing the country. Like they were more impressed that Trump, who ironically Trump is going to be at the game again. Like they were more impressed that you had a bunch of celebrities, a bunch of people kind of going to the game. The vibes were leading up to it. Like it was a contest. And so I don't think that winning or losing the game is going to deter a visitor unless you get blown out, right? If we get blew out, then maybe it could be a different story. But if this ends up being a very, very close game, then it's really just gonna, it's not really going to change the outcome. So I would say don't get blow out. Either team get blew out because there's a lot of players that are visiting Alabama that are on Georgia's radar. Either team don't get blew out, and in a way, there's going to be a loser, but at the same time, there's going to be a winner, right? Off the field, there's going to be winners in that particular aspect. So that's kind of the first thing. But no, I mean, this is going to be a very important, but this is a game that in terms of dictating the SC championship game, this is very important. Now, in terms of making the playoffs, it may not mean nothing. If anything, this is going to add to each other's strength because strength of schedule is, we all know the committee lies, but according to the committee, this is the game, right? For Georgia's schedule, you got 3 teams that could end up being top 10 schools that when you play them, that's going to add to your schedule. For Alabama, this is going to add definitely to your schedule compared to an Ohio State who played, I don't even know who the hell they played against. They played against Grand Canyon U. I mean, for the last 3 games. I mean, that's going to add nothing to their schedule.
Bishop Sycamore, coach.
Yeah, exactly. They played against IMG Academy and Prime De La Salle with Maurice Jones-Drew there. But no, this is going to be an interesting game. And I actually think that both teams or both defenses might add a little bit of pressure because both quarterbacks are kind of tendency or have kind of unquestionable tendencies when they're under duress, right? I know for me leading up to this thing, I kind of I had like a little scouting report that I was able to write down for both quarterbacks. So I kind of start off with Jalen Milroe first. So Jalen Milroe, one of the things that I kind of read down to him is that in terms of mechanics wise, he's a little inconsistent, leading to kind of erratic accuracy and ball placement issues. I said that he kind of needs to improve the field vision, progression reading, and often kind of misses wide open receivers, especially when he's locking onto a primary target. That is something that's got to get better. Me and Coach Sean and Coach Smooth, we've been talking about that for weeks, that he normally locks down to a receiver, hence Ryan Williams, and instead of kind of ignoring sometimes either the low, which is open, he likes to, he locks onto that guy. He waits for the route to develop, holds onto the ball a little bit longer, and then he unleashes it. Now, the good thing is that if that route gets out, if Jalen Milroe in terms of post corner, best quarterback in terms of anticipating exactly where the ball is going to go and the receiver is going to get it. He's the best in the country. No, like when we talk about deep accuracy, there's like 2 routes that nobody's going to kill Jalen Milroe at, and NFL scouts are going to drool all over him in terms of just like how the hell are you having the ability to make these plays. But one thing that I also talk about with Jalen Milroe, one of the things that in terms of some of the weaknesses too that he's got to get better is he's got to stop rolling to the right all the damn time. And I guarantee you that Georgia is going to have some film study on that. They're going to get a spy. or again, they may kind of stunt, they kind of may disguise a stunt to kind of make Jalen Murrow try to roll to the right, but having somebody kind of meet him there. He's got to stop. I mean, again, roll to the left, roll to the right, climb up the pocket, be a little bit more consistent, or stay strong in the pocket while going through your reads instead of just you face a little bit of the rest and then you roll outside to the right. That's something that has to get better as well. But just the key thing for me is to stop trying. Like sometimes, again, he forces it through tight windows. And one of the things that Georgia does better than anybody, they will force quarterbacks to make tight throws because of how much they can condense and squeeze pressure when it comes to playing zone. Like in a flash, it may seem open. That's exactly what they want. They'll squeeze it so tightly that all of a sudden they'll make a quarterback try to go through that decision, and now all of a sudden you have to squeeze it tight because they because of the disguised covers that mostly they're running through. So Jalen Murrow last year in the SEC championship game, what did he do? He tried to fit it through tight windows. What did he do against Michigan? Try to fit it through tight windows, and that didn't lead anything. That didn't lead anything that much to. So that's some of the things that he's got to get better at. Now with Carson Beck, I think one of the things that I like about Carson Beck in this game, and this could be through that, and this could be through their advantage. Actually, the dude's a master with play action under center, and his ability to swing his head and scan post snap separates him from the rest of the pack. Like he is amazing he's amazing when it comes to doing that. I love his ball placement. I like his pocket presence at certain times. I think his rhythm-based passing style kind of keeps defenses kind of guessing a little bit. I think he kind of displays superior short to intermediate accuracy, especially when it comes to setting up receivers after catch. Hence why Georgia, not leading up to the bye week, but the first couple of weeks they were leading the nation in runs after catch. A big reason why they were doing it was because of how Carson Beck was able to kind of set them up in that particular aspect. But he does have weaknesses for his game, right? One of the weaknesses that I think for him is that I think that if you can force Carson Beck to throw off platform, he does struggle with off platform accuracy. Especially when he's forced to kind of adjust throwing mechanics in that particular aspect. I think he does have the occasional tendency to hold on to the ball a little bit too longer, resulting in cover sacks. We've seen that with Alabama in the SEC championship game, how we were able to kind of force him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer than anticipated. And, again, even though we were able to cause a lot of pressure in the defensive front, not a lot of people give a lot of credit to the back end of our secondary because of what we were able to kind of disguise, confusing Carson Beck, leading up to a lot of pressure situations where, he wasn't the same guy that had that superior ball accuracy and anticipation. And I'll even say this, even though I think he's really good in anticipatory throws, I think that he still needs to improve in that area, and his processing speed and ball security is, and this is something that NFL scouts talk about all the time. This was his biggest criticism, is actually ball security and processing, especially under heavy duress. That's something that has to get better as well. So with both defenses, I'm very curious to see if they're going to say, let's give you 5-6 guys. Let's stack, because according to our scouting reports and a lot of NFL scouts, heavy duress, heavy under pressure is the one key thing that both quarterbacks get heavily criticized on. And I do wonder, especially with Alabama, even though they've had a really, really good passing attack, will they go a little bit more aggressive? Especially for Georgia, will they go more aggressive? Because what did South Florida do to have a lot more success? They didn't hide anything. They showed exactly what they were going to do, and Jalen Murrow couldn't make it. It's not like he couldn't really make the throws. He rushed a lot of his decisions. And one thing that Georgia does that South Florida has the exact same is elite athleticism on the front seven. So I'm curious to see what kind of happens here. I do agree that I think the run game is going to be pivotal. And one thing that I think Alabama has been chewed up a little bit on is their run defense. We'll see, though. Again, there's going to be key players that are going to be out. There's key players for Alabama for them to munch on. But for the most part, I think the keys for this game is definitely for both quarterbacks. What will they be like when they're under heavy duress? Which quarterback is going to stay a little bit more calm and make more plays, not just inside the pocket, but also the pocket? Who can improvise the best and who can be more efficient and not turn to the football? Whoever does that is going to win the game. Because I just don't think relying heavily solely on your run game is going to win you the game. You're going to have to make plays from in and out of the pocket if you're going to beat the caliber of teams, because both teams have enough talent and enough speed and enough athleticism that they can easily ruin your initial game plan. And so a lot of the times you're going to have to go to you're going to have to go to plan B, plan C, and play D. And some of it is just simply pure improvisation. That's what Jalen Milroe did last year to win the game. A lot of the plays, Georgia simply ruined the initial game plan. But Jalen Milroe didn't matter how perfect he played. As soon as he was able to escape and broke the pocket, you saw how successful he was able to be. Jalen Milroe, they won that game because of Jalen Milroe's legs. Well, also too because Jalen Milroe missed like 3 open passes to Jermaine Burton, who should have had 200 yards in that game, but it is what it is. That's for another day. But Jalen Milroe was able to make the plays necessary to win the game, and ultimately, can Carson Beck step up to that level? We didn't see that last year. We'll see if he can do it this year.
There we go. Now to close this out, I wanted to pass Coach I this question right here. Saying, so Beck has said he came back to college in part because he wanted to play better in the Bama game. So, Coach I, what did he work on?
Well, he actually said he wanted to win the SEC championship and a national championship, not necessarily against Bama, but I get where you're going, Moonrocker. He didn't work on physical tools. He worked on something that Kirby said he lacked last year, and that's emotions. Carson Beck is like, it's good and it's bad. Like if somebody says no Stetson Bennett, I definitely agree, man. Stetson Bennett was a leader of men. Like he was brash. He was just all the way confident. And I'm not saying Carson Beck isn't confident. I'm saying that like if Carson Beck dots you up, you know what I'm saying, throws like a 25-yard deep over route, fits it in the window like he did against Kentucky. He'll give you a fist pump or whatever, but it's like Kirby wants him to be more emotional to kind of rally the troops, so to say. And he doesn't. That's something he definitely worked on. But physically, like he wanted to work on the RPO game. Like he wants to be a factor in the run game. And Jance is right. Coming out of 2023, ball security was a thing under duress. But if you go back, so if you watch the 3 games we played this year, every time that he steps up in the pocket, avoids the pressure, he keeps 2 hands on the ball. So you can tell they emphasize that in the off season. I'm worried about 2 things with Milroe. Milroe, like Coach Sean said, that corner route, I don't care if it's a post corner, straight corner, it doesn't matter. It's one of the best throws that he throws, if not the best throw that he throws. And then I watched the Wisconsin All 22. The RPO game for Milroe, he's on point, and they've implemented a lot more of that. When he keeps it, if we don't contain them edges, it's gonna be a long night. So I'm interested to see, man. I think like Brinsky said, man, whoever wins this game, of course, there has to be a winner. I think it's going to look a lot like the past Bama Georgia games, you know, something in the 4 to 5, point range, maybe less. But I think both teams is making the playoffs. Now, that's not going to stop whatever fan base loses from losing their mind all next week, whoever that should be. But that's just, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Al. Stetson had the swag. Right. We need Carson to get a little bit more swag about himself. You know what I'm saying?
Stetson made plays with his legs too, man. Like
Right.
like when plays were broken down and he had to improvise, that dude was next tier. He was really good.
So it's gonna be a good game, man. I'm looking forward to it. That's why I say, man, it's like I really don't want to do the snap count because I want to watch every single play, every single minute. But again, if we lose, I will do the snap count. If we win, I'm probably not gonna do the snap count.
And last thing from me, Ken O says Kirby spied Milroe in the championship game. Yeah, and I would, think that they do something similar. One of the question I have with that is how will designed runs with a pin and pull offensive scheme help Bama against those spies, right? Because in theory, you're already running away from the guys. Jalen's so fast. If Booker can get out in space and he and Roberts get out in space, that's going to be super interesting just because last year Bama didn't run a pin and pull at this rate. So I'm fascinated to see how Georgia handles that. It's just going to be a really fun game. But, gentlemen, it's been 2 hours, 8 minutes. We have 69 viewers in here. And in the spirit of the No Diddy Monday, I feel like this is the perfect viewership for us to get up out of here right now. So we're going to go around the table, let everybody know where they can find all of your great content. And we're just going to keep it straight a buck. We'll go Coach I, Coach Sean, Brinsky, and then Jance.
Hey man, y'all can find me at Fanatic Sports, you know what I'm saying? And tomorrow night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Respect the Hedges, we'll be doing our breakdown of the Georgia-Alabama game. Thursday night, 7 o'clock, college football pick'em. And then we follow that up with something new that me and Ty are trying. We're going to do something fun for the people. We're doing a Georgia versus Alabama debate show, debate style. That's right. We'll be on the clock. We'll be able to say our piece, get a rebuttal. Hey, it's gonna be fun, man. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm gonna come out in a boxing robe, some gloves. Blaze may make an appearance with the hair. It's gonna get wild. Hey, I've been one to entertain the people.
Facts. Before I get out of here, really quickly, shout out to everybody who tapped in, man. Shout out to Brad, my brother Brad, Coach Al, man, Eric D as always, Lisa, everybody tapped in, man, who always tap in with us. Appreciate my brother Ty and all my brothers on the panel. I want to say really quickly, 10 seconds. I had like 9 inbox messages, about Coach Prime. Let me just say this really quickly about Coach Prime in Colorado. They was making jokes about them storming the field at Baylor. Baylor outside of Vanderbilt, Colorado outside of Vanderbilt since 2011 has had one of the worst records in the Power 5. 1-11 2 times, 3-10 2 times, 2-10, 4-8. They sucked pretty much since 2011. 48 wins and 94 losses. Brother, I would never get mad at a program that's Vanderbilt-esque for storming the field, for winning a game the way they won that game on national TV. Colorado is the 3rd most watched team in the country right now. They're 3-1. They've had record sellouts since Coach Primus get there. They're winning. Everybody's not Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State, man. You got to take it piece by piece, right? And right now, if you're going to hate on him for losing, then you got to give him love for winning. That's all I want to say. You can definitely find me at JMHO Sports Talk. That's just my humble opinion on Twitter and YouTube. Tap in with us Saturday night for the post-game show. It's going to be huge. Win, lose, or draw. We're going to go hard. The link will be out, man. Come in there, rant, rave, say what you want to say. We keep it real. We don't sugarcoat stuff. We don't got no crimson glasses over there, right? We don't judge your fandom. Just be yourself. Come let us know how you feel, man. Thank you everybody for tapping in, and roll tide.
Oh, and you guys can find me at the Sharpshooters Podcast. Just hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna drop the the page. Well,
yeah, drop that in there, Brent.
Yeah, it's right there. There you go. You just say right there. But also subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter at B_sharp, talking NBA, NFL, all that good stuff. But definitely gonna be talking about this Georgia and Alabama rivalry all week long. So definitely probably get into some debates here and there, but trying not to. Just very anxious for the game, and shout out to all the people out here. Make sure you guys subscribe to these guys' channel. They're doing awesome work. And roll tide.
Love that. And Auburn doomed forever asks the panel. So if we win on Saturday, can we storm the field with torches and pitchforks to run Freeze out of town? I'd like you to keep Freeze, actually.
Right. His next question is even better.
Can I hope Georgia and Bama both lose? They both suck. You can hope it. You can sure hope it. It's not going to happen. You can hope it. Jance, talk to me.
Shout out everyone in the chat, man. Shout out the chat family, Bama family, Sooners family. See some Texas guys up in here as well. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Coach L. Sanders, Lisa Rawls, Katrina Blackman. Shout out to all of them that's in the chat as usual. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you guys can follow me at Jant Sports on YouTube, Jant716 TikTok, Jant716 on Twitter as well. It's gonna be fun, man. We are now in the thick of things, right? The Power 4 schools, they no longer have to play the ICDC colleges of the world. We can now get into real football. we can now see which teams are for real now. And so a lot of teams are going to get exposed. And I'm telling you right now, I like Tennessee as a good football team, but everyone's claiming that they're the 1985 Chicago Bears. Listen, Oklahoma's offense is garbage. Let's just get out the way. It's not like Tennessee went up against the high-powered offense. They went up against one of the worst. I mean, they went up Houston almost shut that offense out. I mean, let's be honest here. So everyone making Tennessee look like they're just the greatest show on turf is okay. Well, we'll see. That's just all I'm about to say. We'll see what Tennessee can do. Texas is getting all the praise. Listen, there's a lot of teams, man, that these scouts are overrating as hell. And listen, it is what it is. I can't wait until we get deep into the schedule. Missouri is still a top 10 school. Missouri is garbage. I mean, I said it last year, man. When you lose half your defensive line, you lose half your offensive line. You lose some of the production in your secondary to your top corners. I mean, Missouri's they're not a power. They're just not a team that's going to churn out. I mean, are you kidding me? They almost lost to Vanderbilt. They almost lost to damn Vanderbilt, for God's sakes, and they're in the top 10. They are garbage. Get them out of there. But of course, it is what it is. Miami's getting all the praise in the world. Listen, Miami's a good football team, and they should have, and they're doing something that, let's be honest here, guys, they should have been doing. I talked about this on this platform that if they can't win more than 10 games, but Mario Cristobal should have been fired because of how garbage that schedule is. They're not going to play anybody until we might get to the SEC championship game. And Clemson, I mean, let's be honest, are we going to ride Clemson home? So it is what it is, man. It's just a lot of overrated teams. Everyone's going to praise them. Joe Klatt and, everyone, all these other people out here, man, they're just going to keep praising these people. We know what the truth is. We know that Alabama and Georgia are the top two teams in the country. Let's be honest here. We all know that these are the top two teams in the country.
I got to throw Texas up there too.
And Texas, yes,
they're playing damn good football.
Yeah, we got to throw Tech. Well, for now, we'll throw Texas in there. But we know how this is going to work. We know who the top 10 is actually going to be. And for all the people out there that said the SEC conference can't win a whole bunch of games and stuff like that, look how many teams are in the top 10 from the SEC alone. I said that 6 teams will make it to the playoffs from the SEC, and people thought I was joking about that. Well, look at the Big Ten conference. Look what USC is doing right now. You think USC is going to make it to the college football playoff? You think Michigan with 0 passing game, with literally no quarterback, is going to make it to the college football playoff? You think Oklahoma State is going to make it into the college football playoff? Who's going to make it? Ohio State, Oregon, who almost lost to Idaho, and Boise State? Let's be real here. 6 teams will make it to the SEC. Will make it to the SEC. Who that is, I have no idea. Maybe LSU could even get down towards it, but they want to make complaints that they're playing in 130-degree weather. I had to coach a football game, ladies and gentlemen. I had to coach a little league football team. You know how hot was on the field and room temperature? It was 115 degrees in Buffalo. So I don't want to hear no complaints about these Louisiana Tigers complaining about all the heat that they suffer throughout their football game, 130 degrees. Look, I had to suffer. I had to sweat. I just took a shower and I had to sweat. And I wasn't even playing in the damn game. So I don't want to hear it. It was like, 1,000 people at that game? So I don't know, guys. We'll see what happens here, man. But everything's unfolding. Everything's unfolding. All the overrated teams that we kept hyping up, or everyone kept hyping up during the offseason, are just going to be they're going to get exposed, and I can't wait for it. But regardless, college football, man, it's officially back. Now college football is officially back because all the frauds now will get exposed, and now we can see the real teams of college football for this point forward, and I can't wait for it.
Love it. And you mentioned Klatt, and this isn't to shit on Klatt. I like Klatt, right? I think Klatt's done a great job, but I do want to point this out because this made me laugh so hard on the game from the Ohio State game this past weekend. I don't know if y'all saw it. Someone else caught it as well. But Joel Klatt was going on and on about Ohio State and how they didn't spend anywhere close to $22 million on this roster. Those are baseless facts and fake narratives, is what he called it. Gus Johnson chimed in and said, well, to play the other side, Ohio State's own AD did come out and say they spent $20 million on this roster. And that's from the man that runs the program. So There was radio silence for about a minute and a half after that. Klatt didn't say a word after that. And I was like, damn, Gus, you didn't have to do him like that on TV. They cut to commercial and they never talked about it again. But I just thought that was so funny, talking about, oh, this is baseless rumors. They didn't spend anywhere close to $22 million. And then Gus Johnson saying, well, the man who is in charge of everything says you're wrong.
Right.
Crickets. Nothing came out. And I was just like, brother, say something. Say something. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch me Saturday on the post-game show for Bleacher Report. Whenever that Bama-Georgia game is done, you know we'll be over there talking about it. You have plenty of post-game coverage options, so you have got a lot of excitement. Friday morning, we will be back 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, previewing the weekend of football. You know we're going to get real deep into the weeds for this Bama-Georgia game then. Thursday evening, we will be doing a debate show with Coach I. That's going to be a blast. Cannot wait for that. You don't want to miss it. Of course, I will have that posted on the community page of this channel as we're going live. Bama Standard tomorrow evening, SEC Connect Wednesday. I'm everywhere where they give me a microphone, but I'm going to tell you who else is everywhere. They give him an opportunity to ruin the end of a stream, to always get the last word. And that's the spinning wheel of doom. And it spins.